Okay, hello everyone. Um, welcome everyone. Please, can you confirm if you can hear me? Okay, hello everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So let's just wait a bit. People are still joining. Welcome all speakers and panelists. Yeah. Welcome everyone. Welcome. So I want to start a poll to just get an idea of what everyone is applying for, just like the question we asked during the registration. So feel free to just vote on the poll. If you're applying for a master's or a PhD, just to get that information. And so the panelists can be able to know how to respond directly. Welcome, Obioma. I'm Etajuddin, welcome. So I'll be granting you co-host rights so that you won't have any limitation on muting or muting. Should in case we need to do crowd control. So Tajuddin Ahmed. Yeah. Thank you for voting on the poll.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I think we'll just begin. It's 1:05 already. 7:05 in Nigeria. Hello, everyone. So my name is Obasanjo Fajem Morokun, and I'm so excited to be here and excited to see everyone that is present here today. I'm a PhD student in Purdue University, particularly West Lafayette campus, studying curriculum and instruction, a non-STEM focus subject or course of study. And I'm so excited to be hosting this and putting this together. Over the last 2 weeks, we have been putting this together with the team of panelists you saw on the flyer. And particularly, our aim is to give voices to African scholars who are schooling in the United States to share their experiences, particularly how they were able to navigate the whole application window, how they were able to go through the whole application struggle and get into the program. So they are here to share experiences, to share opinions also, and also give you first-hand information on how they were able to navigate their application window. So please listen so much, get focused, get your writing pad out. And yes, if you have questions, because I know a lot of people are already putting in the application, we are fully into the application window. And currently, a lot of people are submitting applications, sending cold emails, inquiry emails, asking for confirmations, looking for fee waivers. And this is why this is the perfect time to organize this because these five panelists will be sharing their thoughts. The five panelists will also be sharing their own experiences around how they view this entire process and how they were able to navigate it. This is very, very important as it will enable you all to be able to pass through this period. I so much believe in the idea that if I am able to hear from someone who has gone ahead of me, that way I will be able to also avoid the challenges or the problems this person faces. And so this is why this meeting is being held. And yes, I have been hearing a lot of questions around, oh, when is STEM, non-STEM participants going to be considered? We will be considering non-STEM participants, and non-STEM participants will be having their own session on the 22nd of November, which is next week, Saturday. And we have four panelists lined up across the United States who will be here to share their experiences, share their views, and also share how they were able to how will I call it? How they were able to navigate this entire process. Because it is very, very important to learn from their experience, learn from their mistakes, and also get to navigate those periods. So I can see we have two of our guest speakers already online. Just trying to scroll through as a lot of people are joining the call to see if I have others. Please, panelists, you can indicate once you join the call so that I can give you co-host rights. So I will be leaving the floor now to the two panelists which we have on the ground to just briefly introduce themselves and talk about. Okay, you have been on the call. So I don't know this. Please, can you send me a WhatsApp? Just send me a WhatsApp. The panelist who is mentioning. It's showing as my own name. I don't know how Zoom was happening today. It's showing as my name. I'm saying Obasanjo, sending message to Obasanjo, which is quite strange. I don't know if you can rename yourself for the person who messaged me currently. Yes, so that I can give you guests. Yeah, a lot of participants are showing your name. Yeah, I just don't know. You need to change your name once you get in. Oh yes, please change your name once you get in. Yes, I think there's a glitch on Zoom this afternoon, like this evening.
Hello.
Yes, Obioma.
I don't know. I don't think that's it. I think it's from. I think it's from your setting.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but from when I check, there's a. If you check your sub settings, there is a place it says show name when participant joins or something.
Ah, yeah, I think that is activated. It's on the.
Maybe try turn it off and see if it's gonna solve the issue.
Okay, yeah. Please rename. Can you rename yourself if you are bearing my name? Can you rename it to participants?
They are bearing his name.
Yeah, if you are using my name, can you just rename? I don't know what's happening with Zoom this afternoon, and that's just technology. Yes. But if you are a guest panelist and I've not been able to cite you, please request to be unmuted, and I'm going to give you permission. So we are muting all participants because some people will join with their microphone unmuted, and that is going to give them challenges. We have been hearing feedback. So all participants are currently muted just to make sure that we have control over the group settings. So I think I'll just leave the floor to Obioma to please introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, your school, and what you're studying. Then we'll go to Ahmed while I try to rectify the other issues at the back end.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone from here. Then from those in Nigeria and some part of Africa is even. So good evening to you. My name is Obioma Florence Ekonye. I'm a master's student at Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago, Illinois. And I studied biomedical technology at Federal University of Technology over. Yeah, that is where I graduated from. I'm currently studying biological science at master's level at Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago. Yeah, glad to have you here.
Nice to have you here too. Nice to have you here too. Mr. Ahmed?
Um, Good afternoon, good evening to everyone from wherever you are joining us from. My name is Ahmed Tajuddin, and I'm a first year PhD student here at Oklahoma State University, Department of Microbiology and Molecular Genetics. And I am very happy to be here with you. So please, you will pardon me, Obasanjo, because I have an experiment to complete in the lab. So if any question is for me, just kindly please unmute me from your end if you can, because I might drop my phone in the office while in the lab, but my headset will still be with me and I should be able to answer some of the questions. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, thank you for giving me that heads up. And that is why I don't really envy you STEM guys. For you guys go to the lab even during weekends. Yeah. And it's quite strange. Yes. Okay. So I think I'll be able to locate Abdul Bashir. So just give me a few minutes to unmute you right now. I've been able to locate you. Okay. So let's give one of the Obasanjos. I've given you request to unmute yourself, Mr. Abdul. Mr. Abdul. Yes, Abdul Bashir.
Uh, I don't think it's supposed to. This is Abiodun Akinbaso. I've been
Oh,
trying to renew myself since, so I'm not speaking today. I'm speaking next week, I guess, right?
yes, yes. Sorry. I
All
have
right.
to
Yeah.
also enjoy it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'll try. I'm currently driving, so I'll try and park and renew myself.
Okay, okay, no
Right.
worries.
Okay.
Okay. I've also, Abdul Bashir, can you speak now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. We have identified you there. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah. So please introduce yourself and apologies for the glitch.
nice, fine. Um, from here it's 11:13, so good morning to you all, and good evening to the participant from Nigeria. Good afternoon to my co-host in other parts of the United States of America. I am Abdul Basit Fasasi. I am a doctor of veterinary medicine, graduated from University of Illinois, and I'm currently doing my master's in veterinary science with a focus on antimicrobial resistance in University of Wyoming, United States. It's nice to be here.
Okay, nice to have you all here. So I've made four panelists co-hosts. I think we are just expecting one panelist to join right now, and that would be Oludari. Mr. Oludari, are you on the call? Oludari Emmanuel, are you on the call? Okay, Chika, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. Um, Hi
Hello.
everyone. Okay, so my name is Chika Victory, and I'm a first year PhD student in Purdue University studying chemistry, and it's currently 1:15 here. So good afternoon from my side and good evening to you all.
Okay, good afternoon. I hope you are not in the lab today too.
I'm not in the lab, but thank God.
Well, that's good. That's good to see that at least you're not in the lab. Okay, so I think we'll just begin straightforward. So we have done the introductions. So I'll just go straight into the questions. And in no particular order, I think I'll start with motivation. Like, in Nigeria, we are always concerned about the motivation part. And it's very, very important to know what motivated people to apply to a particular course. We have heard different stories, or it is based on your academic background, or it's based on your experience, or it is what you're passionate about. So I'm going to be picking, I'm going to start with Chika, since you concluded last. What motivated you to pursue a graduate study in STEM focus field, and how did you particularly decide on your course of study or your specialization?
Okay, so I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry, microbiology, and honestly, I've always been passionate about everything that is related to medicine, drug discovery. And so since I didn't study medicine, I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity. Chemistry is related because when I know that the research I'm doing now, it's really related to, finding, drugs, discovering drugs, and just doing things that are related to medicine, even since I'm not studying medicine itself. And yeah, that was one of my motivation. And that thing that motivated me was that I was tired. I was tired of what was going on in Nigeria. So yeah, I was tired. I wanted to. Okay, so when I don't know if anybody remembers that 8 month strike. I don't know the year, whether it was
Mm,
2022 or
mm.
so. So that year, I actually purchased a direct entry form. I bought a form for medicine. Like I wanted to do second degree for medicine, and that was when that strike came. So while we were on that strike, I told myself, no, I cannot do this. I'm tired. I cannot do this. So even after the strike, I didn't bother again. I just thought about grad school outside Nigeria. So I started, reading about the process and just preparing my documents to apply. So yeah, that was my motivation.
Okay, thank you so, so much. And I love how you were real, like you were tired of the Nigerian situation, which you were able to mention the strike. And yes, that is also a major concern. That is also a major concern. Okay. Can we hear from Mr. Ahmed? What motivated you to pursue a graduate degree in STEM focus field, and also how did you decide on your specialization or your focus?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So my own motivation was started from my high school. I was really interested in biology, and just like everybody wants to study medicine, I knew I wasn't going to be able to study medicine, not because I wasn't bright enough, but just the motivation was not really there for me. So I was just left with the choice of biochemistry and microbiology because of interest. So I pursued microbiology at Olabisi Onabanjo University. And just before I graduated with that's microbiology. I knew that BSc is not enough for a microbiologist. That is just the truth. You need a grad degree for you to be called a microbiologist per se. So that was the biggest motivation for me that, okay, for me to be relevant in this field, I need to pursue a grad degree. And for me to be able to pursue a grad degree, I knew that I needed like research skills. And that was what prompted me to do my 6 month training at Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, which I also ended up joining and worked with them for like 3 years as a research assistant before finally um, pursuing my PhD here in the United States in the same field, microbiology.
Oh, that's good. That is good. Interesting. Interesting. Great, great. Thank you for sharing that. We have the final panelist on the call, Mr. Ludari. I've made you co-host. Can you just unmute and introduce yourself and also tell us what's your motivation behind pursuing a STEM graduate degree, and how did you choose your course of study or your specialization?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Obasanjo. Yeah, Obasanjo, yeah. So yeah, I joined late, I had some issue with my, had some technical issues. Okay, basically, my name is Oludare Emmanuel. I'm a master student in University of Georgia, and I'm studying entomology. I'm basically working towards translating technological advancement to efficient monitoring of invasive pests, basically in situ, right? And to start with, I studied agriculture first degree, plant breeding, basically. And from my research and my research experience back in undergrad and some of the things I had exposure into, I was really interested in doing something around resistance breeding. Right. So basically for me, from plant breeding, resistant breeding, like resistant against insects. So I tried as much as possible to get position around resistance breeding. And then when I made my research, I felt, well, it wouldn't be bad for me to just, take up a master's in entomology, be able to like follow a multidisciplinary approach to resistant breeding, plant breeding and entomology, and then later on my resistant breeding. So I think in short, that was what led me here. But I was following, I was trying to get both resistant breeding and entomology. I got both, and then funding cut happened. I had to like forfeit one and all that. Yeah, so basically in science, I wanted to do what I wanted to do because I like mathematics, and I felt I would be able to do that in agriculture, in my own, in this resistance breeding, in entomology. And I'm doing some things around modeling, to be able to monitor insects. So I felt it would be a good one to be able to at least, combine both mathematics, data science with agriculture. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, great, great. Thank you for sharing that. So I think you mentioned something good, which will take us to the next question, which is moving us to the school of focus. You did mention you had multiple admissions and you needed to pick one, although the funding cut also happened. And this will move me to the next speaker, which is Obioma. Particularly, what key factors did you consider in choosing your school? Is it based on ranking? Is it based on the research fees? Is it the funding? Or how do participants who are applying now be able to select that this is their school of interest or this is the school they should go after?
Okay. The factors I considered in choosing my school, one of them is this school, does it have the related course I'm interested in? Because there are a lot of schools in the United States, and there's so many courses you don't even know about, especially when you're going for master's or PhD. So, okay, I said, does this school have the course I'm interested in? Or do they have related courses that can lead me into what I'm interested in? Particularly, I'm interested in cancer studies. So, and then I look at this school, do they have cancer biology or biology, cellular molecular biology, biomedical science? All these are, related and under the same umbrella. So that's number one thing. Two, I checked, do they have faculty members who have labs or who are working on these fields? Because they may have a cell biology department, molecular biology, but there is nobody working on that particular research. And under cell biology, there are many research interest areas. Somebody can be studying viruses, somebody be studying, a whole lot of things. So is there somebody working in a related field? And another thing is, what's the school ranking? Because there are a lot of schools in the US too. From my knowledge, there are over 450, universities and colleges. And some of these ones don't get level, some get level. So what is the ranking of the school? Another thing is their funding? They are coming from a country like Nigeria, and then from another background, I was interested in getting funded. Another thing I considered was, what are their admission requirements? What are they looking for? Are they looking for someone that already has a master's, or, over here, for instance, I think the minimum CGP to apply is 3.0, if I'm not mistaken. So do I have up to, that's 3.0 on a 4-point scale. So you have to consider that They need something like GRE, verified transcripts, and all of those. Those are things you consider. And then also opportunity to do OPT after graduation. So this course in this school, is it recognized as a STEM course? If it's a STEM course, do I have opportunity to do optional practical training at the end of my studies? So these are the things I considered in choosing the school.
Oh, great, great. Thank you so much. I was taking notes and it's much. First, course of study, faculty fit and interest, ranking of the school also matters, funding opportunities in the school, and also post-graduation opportunities like OPT, and also if the course was a STEM focused course for your field of interest. That is very, very,
And admission requirements.
yes, admission requirements, right? Okay, so that is really, really great. So let's hear from one more person on key factors to consider when choosing scholarship, when choosing a school. I feel Obioma actually covered almost all, but I want to give also Abdul Bashir to be able to add. Unfortunately, Basit, I'm unable to unmute you like you requested. I don't know if you're a bit far from your phone or you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So add to that, I think Obioma has actually covered the essential part of what you should consider before you select a school. But to just say something, yeah, I think she has covered it all, but you need to also like make sure you check several schools, because you can be lucky enough to get admitted in different schools, and then you are started with the responsibility to like select which one of them are you going to go with. So all of the things she mentioned are like key things you should focus on, because some schools might, maybe the funding of a particular school might even be higher than the other one, but the opportunities you can get from that one that has like lower stipend or something might even be higher. So you need to consider all of those things, not just focus on the stipends or the monetary aspects. You need to focus on what are the opportunities after graduating, what are the chances of moving further, so all of those are things that you need to consider. For me, I didn't even really focus on the ranking. My school is like is a F1 school, but I didn't even like focus on that. In fact, I knew that it was a F1 school after I had been admitted. Yeah, but I just focused on the funding, because that's like the most important thing. Then you want to know that, okay, what you are doing is something you will eventually enjoy, because there's no point coming to a school where you're doing a research that you're not even interested in, or something you're not, it's going to be like a hell for you. So most important thing is if the research aligns with what you're doing, and then if there's funding. So, and then all that things she mentioned are also like vital things that you need to consider before you eventually select a school. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, I think just like you, I was the same. I didn't really look at ranking. In short, I did not know the school I was in was part of the 10 public schools, top 10 public schools in the United States. Until after I started asking people about, oh, do you know this school? I got admission there, and they're like, oh, it's a big school, is that? So yes, thank you so much. So yes, everyone, you have heard the key factors you need in considering or choosing a school or a program. And these are all very, very valid factors in which it is very, very important. So from our pool, I noticed we have 61% of participants are interested in master studies, and 39% of the participants are interested in the PhD studies, which is quite really interesting and fascinating to see. So our next question will be going towards this place, and I will be starting with Oludare on it. Is it still on the call? Yeah.
Is that me?
Okay, good. So I'll be starting with Oludare also on this call. Particularly the question will be in identifying potential supervisors and research lab, with your experience schooling in University of Georgia, and getting a master's, going for your master's study. What steps did you take to identify the perfect or best fit for your supervisor or your research lab in which you are working currently?
Okay. Thank you for that question. And I think I'll take it from where we stopped earlier. And I particularly like the way Obioma responded to that question, because I'll be taking it from there. So basically, I think the first thing which we often don't do, which I'm not sure I did it, very clearly is defining your research interest. It is very much important that you have your research interest clearly defined, and that is what will determine the school, the kind of school you want to go to, the kind of professor you feel would align with the defined research interest. And one thing I would need to say at this point is that for a first degree holder, you might want to diversify. Take, for example, for me personally, I would advise, okay, you want to apply for this thing. This is what you studied. Take, for example, you studied microbiology. And based on your profile, your portfolio, your passion and interest, try to point out about 3 or 4 research interests. Let it be clearly written. And anytime anyone comes to me regarding, I want to start making application, this is the first thing I tell them, because this is what contributes to your, even your SOP writing. You don't just jump and say, "Yeah, I want to apply for this thing, let me apply." You have to have a clearly defined research interest. And so when you get to the point where you have to write your SOP, you already have your research interest well defined, and you can just add where you are coming from, your profile and other things. So define your research interest and then look for schools. And that was why I had to appreciate the people who spoke earlier. And one thing I would need to add to what they said earlier is that you really need to focus on, when it comes to, take for example, you want to do um, cancer research, maybe from a particular perspective. There are some schools that are reputable in that regard. And one thing you need to appreciate in the US is that when it comes to, let's say you want to do a kind of microbiology, let's say poultry science, take for example, University of Georgia is one of the top 3 universities in poultry science. And that invariably means that University of Georgia will have more funding, would have more faculties that are dedicated to poultry science. And when you are shooting your shots in poultry science to University of Georgia, you get to have more chances of getting in, right? Because they will almost always have funding, because that is what they are, that's one of their specialties. You get it. So in that regard, you want to focus on those schools, because your chances of getting into those schools are quite high. Right. So when you define your research interest, you have your CV tailored towards, let's say, 3 research interests now. You have your CV tailored towards the 3 research interests. Because I'm telling you, because I have lost a PhD position because I put actively contributing to food and nutritional security to a professor who is working on ornamental breeding, flower breeding. And it was like, he's improving flowers. He's not interested in food and nutritional security. But because of this thing that I've written, he does not think he can take me. He likes my CV, but he cannot take me. Do you see something like that? So it means that you have to be very intentional down to your CV. And that should be contingent on the research interest you have defined. So your research interest, your CV should be clearly defined, and then you check out those schools in that line. Let your focus be on those ones that you feel are heavyweights in those particular research interests. So if you have research interests A, B, and C, you might have 20 schools for A, and just 10 of them will be for B, because you are going for the schools on A based on what you have defined yourself for A. Yeah. And then you want to check some other things, just like Obioma said, you want to check your fit for that school. If you don't have TOEFL or GRE, if that school would allow you to still apply. And then you can now check the faculties in those schools that are doing things relevant to what you really are doing. And you don't just check any faculty if you haven't really defined your own research and says, oh, this one is very clearly close to what I want to do and all that. So all these things will help you to cut down on trial and error, like most of us did. So it will help you to make tailored and targeted efforts. And I think so. After you probably, so when you see those faculties, try to reach out to them via code email, and then if some of them respond, fine. If some of them don't respond, follow up after 2 weeks or 10 days. Follow up. I'm following up on particularly the position I got. My professor was telling me that it was because I was consistent in following up. It was like the third time I sent him a mail that he responded that he likes my energy and he really wanted to. And one of my mentees currently is making his formal application because of that. The man was like, "You are very persistent. You should apply." And so that is one of those things. And then the formal application, and then you are good to go. Basically, I think that is it for my end.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Yes, yes. When you mention cold email, I know there's a picture of a cold email trending right now on WhatsApp, which people have been sharing, which I saw today. And it said, it goes as follows. Good afternoon. I think you attached an image of sausages instead of your resume. We have decided to move forward with another candidate. And this is just the reality of candidates or applicants sending emails without deep research sometimes. And there's an error of attaching the wrong file. And just like what you mentioned, because you put a wrong research interest that doesn't align with the professor, he says he cannot take you even though he likes your work. And these are the little mistakes applicants should try to avoid making. So I'll go next to Abdul Bashir, who is currently in the lab, to share with us how he was able to identify his own lab as in line with the question of identifying the right faculty members and how to reach out to them. Abdul Bashir?
Uh, is it Basit or Amit? Because I'm the
Oh,
one in
you.
the lab now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Ahmed that is in the lab. Oh, sorry, I messed it up. Ahmed,
Sorry, my
sorry.
attention is greatly divided a bit, so I had to quickly run to the code room to talk because there are some people in the lab. Okay, so regarding to identifying schools, for me, code email has never worked for me. I code emailed and I even showed a lot of people that what am I writing? Can you check? Is it making sense? They say, you are doing the right thing, but I still don't get response. Whenever I get response, or anytime I get response, it's not always the promising one. So I knew that that strategy of code email is not just for me. So I kind of have a rigid interest, I would say, which is not so good, but I know what I want, and that is only what I apply for. So first thing is that you want to define your interest clearly, and your interest should align with mostly what you have a background in, but be ready to like explore other things. Don't be like me, but I have a rigid interest in microbial pathogenesis. So I don't want to do anything environmental microbiology. Even if there's funding, I'm not going to apply. That is just me. Related. So it depends on the individual. So define your interest, know what you want. It's a grad school. So you want to do what you really like, right? So if you are the type that is flexible to do other things, it's fine. So how I was able to identify my own current school or department, because I don't have a professor yet as an advisor, because it's a program that you have to do rotation, and after all the three rotation, then you get to settle down in the lab. But the first thing is that I look at the department before applying to any schools. Do they really have microbiology? And then I go straight to their faculty page to see their professors, at least two or three professors that are doing something related to what I'm really interested in, which is microbial pathogenesis, right? So once I identify that, I know that because I have some research background there, to write my LSOP won't be difficult for me because it's easy to align what I currently do and my interest to what they do in the department. So that was how I was able to put all the schools I applied to together in an Excel format. I also look at their requirements. I know I don't have a GRE. I'm not ready to write a GRE. I know a lot of people are there outside there that they do also want to do. So no matter the funding or anything, if I see that you're requesting for a GRE, I remove it from my list. IELTS I do not have. So the moment I see I don't try my shot, I know I don't even tell them that can you make a waiver? Sometimes I do, but I know there are a lot of schools in the US. So I kind of screen them out based on what I have. I'm not being pompous. I know what I have, so I don't want to play chances in a place that I probably won't get into, right? So I know what I have, and I tailor my applications towards schools that are ready to accept the kind of portfolio I have. So GRE, RAS, the moment I see that they request, I just remove them from the list. So define your interests. There are thousands of schools in the US, so you want to screen out all the schools that you want to apply to, ensure that they have what you're interested in or what you can develop interest in for that, then it should be good.
Okay, thank you for that. Define your interests, limit or screen out other schools who do not have your requirements. And I love one thing Ahmed said. So why we brought so many panelists is to tell you that there are different pathways to the market and to this stuff. So he's clearly said that cold emails didn't work for him. For me, cold email worked. For Ludari also has mentioned cold email worked for him, but cold email did not work for Ahmed. And that is how some of these things work. Some people have their own way, some have their own way. No one perfect fits it. Just know what you want, go for it, and put in all the effort you want to put. And I believe God will reward everyone's effort accordingly. And this is very, 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 very important. So I'll be moving forward to the next question. But before that, please, participants, feel free to also ask the questions in which you are interested in asking the guests. You can ask it either in the chat box or in the question and answer segment. Any of them, you can ask those questions. So we are going to be taking your questions also. I'm going to be looking through the chat box and picking your questions because I believe some of you are already in the application process. Applications have been open since August, and you have some questions you have in your mind that you have seen that you want to ask. So therefore, feel free to post it. We will give time also for question and answer at the end where you can unmute yourself and speak. So moving on to the next question, which I will be starting this time with Chika. And I just want to know, I know application timeline, schools have 3 months, 4 months normally. My school opens from August, which is the school also Chika is attending, I think from August or September till December 15th or December 1st for most of the departments. So for a PhD or application or a normal application window, what timeline should someone set to know how to apply? Because a lot of people sometimes end up getting overwhelmed trying to do 6 applications in 1 week, and they get frustrated with the effort because there's so much pressure with recommendation letter, SOPs, and all that stuff. So what typical timeline will you set to apply for one school so that they can use this, or 2 schools to know the timeline they can use to apply? And what did you do differently during your own time when you were preparing all these documents? You can also list the documents.
Okay, so this is November, so um we can't rewind time, right? We can't go back to August, for example, but I would say the best time to start planning is like January for an application that you are making in August, for example. The best time to start planning for it is January, like 7 months ahead. But that's like the best time. The second best time is now, because obviously you can't rewind time, you can't go back in time. So today is the second best time to start. So what I would say is that for PhD, a lot of schools start the application process in September. But then when I applied, I know that there were some schools that started theirs in August. So as of ending of August, I had already submitted some PhD applications. Then some schools, yeah, September, some October. And like Obasanjo said, the deadline for most schools is 1st December. But then I know there were some schools that the deadline was 15th December. Some schools have January deadlines. For some schools have February, some schools have March, but that's why you have to check the website. That's why you have to start preparing on time, actually, because when you prepare on time, you'll be able to check those schools' website to see when is the deadline of this school. Then you can create an Excel sheet or whatever. Maybe even if it's a physical notebook, you write down the deadline of each of the schools so that you would know when you submit each of the applications. So, with regards to documents that you need your statement of purpose. We all know that some schools ask for personal history statement, like Purdue. I remember that was part of the reason I almost did not apply to Purdue, because immediately I saw the personal history statement, I was like, I don't have strength to start writing on that essay. It took me about 4 months to write my SOP. So that's why I said it, like, you have to start preparing on time. And when I say it took me 4 months to write my SOP, it's not that I was writing it one line at a time. It's more like I wrote it and I was reading it every day. The more I read it, the more I saw things to correct. Even after I gave it to some of my mentors to edit, and they corrected a lot of things, and and gave me, even after their own correction, I realized that as I was reading, I was seeing more ways to refine the SOP to make it better. And you have to trust your instincts. You don't have to always run back to your mentors. So for each of those corrections I was making after my mentors had already corrected, I wasn't going back to them again to ask them, what do you think about this? Is it nice? because my gut feeling was already telling me that this is better than what I had previously. So I kept on for each day I read my SOP, even if it's just one word, I know I'll just end up removing something or adding something. So when I say it took me 4 months, it's more like just adding one word or removing one word. That was just it actually. So you have to start early, but like I said, if you haven't done much up to now, the second best time to start is now. With regards to letters of recommendation, I know this is where a lot of people have issue because sometimes you reach out to your undergraduate lecturers and they are not replying. There's a lot of challenge there, but I would say that you can use at least one work recommendation letter. You can get someone from your workplace or someone you have done something with to write like a work recommendation letter for you. That's it will serve as one recommendation letter. Then I know some people did, for example, I did something like I used my what's it called? My class representative for my undergraduate study. So I used him as one of my recommenders. As at that time, he was doing his master's in UNN, which is the school I went to. So since he was doing his master's, he wrote he wrote the recommendation letter, or better still, I wrote all my recommendation letters, even the one my major supervisor submitted. I asked him, please, can I write the recommendation letter? And he agreed. Some professors will not agree. Oh, it's not every professor that would agree. But I think it also depends on the relationship you have with the person. So all of them agreed for me to write it by myself. So I, like I said, my class rep wrote one for me, submitted one for me. So what I did was that I drafted it in such a way that he was acting. I remember that my supervisor for my for the research project I did in my final year, my supervisor had like an assistant that was helping him to read our work. So I wrote that recommendation letter in such a way that my class rep was like a supervisor acting, a supervisor that is overseeing, which really that's what a class rep does, right? So yeah, so that was how I tailored that particular recommendation letter. And I wrote that obviously then he was a graduate assistant. He was a graduate research assistant. So that was what I wrote as his title. Then I know I've heard of someone who also used a PhD student in the US. One of my mentors told me she used a PhD student in the US as one of her recommenders. So the person was once a senior or something, but they just found a way to tailor it, and they had already done some work together, like they published some papers together. So they found a way to tailor it in such a way that this person supervised me, this person has worked with me and can actually attest to my abilities. So it's just that's why you have to volunteer in some things. Sometimes you might have to do some things free of charge, like without expecting anything. Like you can offer your services in a research lab without pay, just so that those people can have something they can write for you, a recommendation letter that, oh, this person worked with me in this project. So that's part of the reason people volunteer for free, just to have something to write in a recommendation letter. So you have to think outside the box. If you don't have professors you are close to that can write a recommendation letter for you, just know you can always use one recommender from your workplace. You can, use someone, a supervisor or something like that, a class rep or a PhD student or a master student already in the US or in any country, actually, must not be the United States. So we have GRE, graduate record examination. Yes, some schools make it compulsory, some programs make it compulsory, and sometimes we actually need it. So if you feel your profile is not strong enough, maybe you have like a 2-2 or even a 2-1, then you might need to write a GRE. the exam is actually expensive, like having to pay for it. So that's part of the reason why most people don't want to write it, because of the money, because obviously it's not easy to get the money to pay for the exam. And we all understand that. But if you can afford to pay for it, or if you can plead with someone to pay for it, it's not a bad idea to actually, write the exam. Another thing is that it's stressful to read for the exam. It's very stressful, but yes, it is worth it if you get a good score. Then we have IELTS, that's another exam, or TOEFL, that's another exam. And if you have the money, I would say write it. But if you don't have the money, then just try to make everything you have better. So if you have publications, that's nice. If you don't have publications, try to tailor your if you are presented in conferences, or something like that. If you are presented in conferences, write it in your SOP in a way that it looks really good. If you don't have publications, you can also start, looking at something now, maybe just a research idea that you can add to your CV in such a way that you write manuscripts in preparation. I know I did that. I wrote one paper which I was working on then, but I hadn't even submitted it for review. So I wrote it as manuscript in preparation, and wrote the names of people that I was working with it in. So that can also help. I remember that in my Purdue application, there was a space where they asked for publications. And I
Yeah.
remember I saw that, and I was like, then I did not have any publication. So I saw it and I was like, maybe I'll just give up. There's no need. Let me not apply. That was what I felt, honestly. But then, because I had like 2 publications under review, and I had like about 3 manuscripts in preparation, I just wrote it like that for them. I wrote it like that for them, and yeah, and it worked out. So um don't be afraid to try. Don't give up without trying. Just keep pushing. So application window, yeah, just keep applying. There are a lot of 1st December deadlines. That's what I
Yeah.
can say. Yeah, so just target that. And some schools have something they call priority deadline.
Yeah.
And that priority deadline, they take it very seriously. So if you end up not meeting it and you still apply later on, well, you may be considered, but just know that they will consider those that submitted before the priority deadline. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. I think you have covered it all. Thank you so much for that. That was very detailed, and I hope everybody learns on that. Thank you for that. Please, panelists, drop your social media handles for the participants to connect with you on all social media accounts. I've been seeing questions already. We're going to pick that up. But next, I'll be going to Obioma right now. So just picking up from where Chika left it, based on the document for application and the timeline. But I want you to also focus on how important are GRE, English test, or academic transcripts in the admission process. And how did you prepare for or navigate the ones you did not have? For me, I didn't have GRE or GMAT. I finally had an English test after I submitted my application, actually, because I submitted my application in August for Purdue University, and my English test was like in September, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so over to you, Obioma.
Okay, I think Chika has said it all. But then for me, when I started, like you said, start in January. That is just it. For the next, if you're planning for 2027, then this is a good time to start your application requirement. But I know most people here are looking at 2026. So I want to believe you already have your application, documents ready. So for your SOP, you have to craft it in a way that is going to be compelling, that someone reads it will be able to feel the message you're trying to pass and understand it properly. Then for your CV, you need a CV to apply. Ensure that your CV is well crafted as well. Don't try to lie in your CV. Don't use things that are not for real. If you've not done something, if you don't have any publication, don't put it. There's no need lying. You understand? Because if in the course of an interview and they discover that you lied or you can't defend what you put on your CV. I mean, they'll see that, oh, this person is dishonest. And one thing America hates is dishonesty. So they feel you're a dishonest person and they wouldn't want to work with you. And it's definitely going to affect you. So don't try to lie in your CV. Say what it is as it is in your CV. Then, in the process of application timeline, you should also reach out to supervisors early enough. Someone has already talked about that. Reach out to them through LinkedIn or any other thing. Ensure that you reach out to as much supervisors as possible in the different schools that you're looking at. And then also, one of the things you'd also do in time is your recommenders, people you hope that they will recommend you. Inform them in good time. If you're still an undergraduate, I will advise that you try to create good relationship with your lecturers in school. If you're a graduate, you're working somewhere, try to have good relationship with your colleagues, your bosses, so that when you come back to them and say, please recommend me, they will be willing and they also make good recommendations. Yeah, that's it. And then talking about application documents, like, okay, GRE for PhD students is really very important. Yeah, because a lot of factors affect funding. First is your class of degree. Did you graduate with a first class, second class, and like that, part of the things. If you graduate with the first class, then everyone will assume you're a very brilliant student and they want to give you opportunity. That is just it. Then GRE too. If you didn't have a first class and then you write a GRE, which is a graduate record examination, and you pass very well, those will be fine. This person to pass the GRE, he or she must be smart. For English test, for the US, most English tests are waived. I don't know if there are schools who request for English tests in the US. That's the TOEFL, IELTS, and all of those things. But for US, generally, I know that English tests are waived. So I did not write any English test. Myself too, I didn't write any GRE. And it's part of the things that affected me, But so don't focus on English tests. If you didn't graduate with a first class or a very good 2-1, and then you want to improve your chances, I will advise, you write GRE. If you don't have a GRE, it's still okay. There are schools that can still accept you without the GRE, but it's going to limit your opportunities. So if you can afford it, I didn't write it because then I was on a budget, it was quite expensive and all of those things. But if you can afford it, I will advise that you write a GRE. Then your transcript. Please verify your transcript. There are schools that will still ask you to come with the unverified transcript, unofficial and all of those things. But I will advise that you send your transcript to a verification institution like the WES, NASES, all of them that do transcript verification. Verify your transcript. All these things will give you edge. Now let's look at it this way. If I'm applying for a PhD and then you are applying for a PhD, I have a first class. I graduated with the first class, and then on top of that, I wrote GRE. Or, okay, let's say I didn't write GRE, but I verified my transcript through WES. Now, WES is a trusted verification institute. So have first class and have a verified transcript, and then all other application documents. You didn't graduate with the first class, maybe a 2-1 or a 2-2, and then you didn't verify your documents. If they are looking for who to choose between the both of us, you know who they are going to pick. You understand? You know who they are going to take first. And now, if there's a time, there are some situations that, okay, they want to admit 20 students, they have over 1,000 applications. Everybody will submit similar documents. There are things now they will not say, okay, let's take this person and leave out this person. You understand? Let's choose this person and leave out this person. So if you have all these things, you have a verified transcript, you have your GRE, especially for those who are going for PhD, you have a GRE, and probably you have a good degree, like you graduated with a good class of degree when you're graduating. You would definitely stand an edge compared to someone who does not have a verified transcript, who did not write GRE and who did not graduate with the first class. Someone like me now, I no get first class, I no write GRE, and I no still verify my transcript. You understand? I know you say, how did you get here? You will get here. But then there are people, for me, I'm not funded. Okay? So there are people who are funded. So if I had all these things, the chances of me getting into more schools is there. You understand? Because a lot of schools require for this. And also getting into this school, the chance of me also being funded, fully funded, is also there. You understand? So if you're looking at having a full funding, this is my advice for you. Write GRE, verify your transcript. English test is not so long as you studied in Nigeria, English test is not compulsory. In fact, I don't think it makes any difference. So what makes difference is your GRE and your verified transcript. And then if you're still an undergraduate, I will advise that you do your best to come out with a good class of degree. When you do that, it also gives you an edge. Yeah, so that's it on documents and then application time. Also, Chika made mention of starting early, priority deadline. Yes, priority deadline are those that will be considered for full funding. If you apply after priority deadline, you'll be considered for admission, but your being funded is not tied to, is there money left in the funding? You understand? So getting admission is one thing, being funded is another thing. So if you are looking at being funded, then you have to beat the admission deadline, because even if you have your transcript verified, you have your GRE and everything, if you don't beat the priority deadline, your admission might be secured, but how about funding? So that's it for me on application timeline and documents that you need.
Thank you so much, Obioma. Thank you so much. You touched every place I wanted you to, which was really great, and answered the question very, very good.
Obasanjo,
Yeah, Chika.
so sorry. Please, I would like to say something.
Okay, please.
Okay, just so that nobody here will misunderstand me. Although, yeah, Obioma understood what I was talking about, but it occurred to me that every other person listening may not understand. When I said start in January, I do not mean for 2026, start in January. No, I meant for 2020. If you want to start what do I want to say? Let's say you apply for 2026. You were supposed to start like January 2025. That's what I meant. So I do not mean that is next year, January, that you start planning for 2026 admission. No, that's not what I meant. Just to clarify, just in case anybody was confused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. It was really, really good. Thank you so much for that. Yes, and I think Obioma touched a place that was really interesting. Everyone you have seen, you have heard different perspectives and views, and everything aligns to how you can get this admission and how you can get the funding. Just like Obioma mentioned, you might not require the English language test if your field is not that hard on it, and especially because you schooled in Nigeria, which is basically on a country where you study for 4 years undergraduate course in English. At worst, some schools will require you to send in a letter from your school that says you studied in English. I think they call it the English proficiency letter or something that says, oh, I studied for the 4 years in English, and this helps you totally waive the whole application, the whole English requirement. So you might focus your effort of writing IELTS on writing GRE, because GRE will really give you an edge going in. And right now, I'll be going on to the next questions. We are seeing all the questions coming into the chat box, and we are going to get to it. But just moving on with the flow of things. So Obioma touched on funding, and funding is very, very important. Trust me, funding is very, very important. And so I'll be starting this time from Tajuddin, then goes to Uludare, and then Abdul Bashir will come in. And the question is, how did you secure your full funding? That is one. And was it through, are you an RA, a TA, or you're on fellowship? And what tips can help others who are currently on this call to get this application? What tips can help them? So over to you, Amit.
Okay. Hello everybody. So for funding, well, my father is not Dangote, neither is he Otedala. So the reason why I'm applying or why I was applying was to get funding. So it was one of the key factors that I considered when choosing my school, right? So you have a list of schools that you have applied to or you are about to apply to. Just know that if they don't have funding, there's no two ways about it, except you can fund yourself. And dollar is not a small money, right? So just eliminate them. That is it. Once I see you don't have funding. But luckily for us, or fortunately for us, for STEM, most of the PhDs, I can speak categorically for biomedical sciences or life sciences that 90 or to 95% of the PhD in the US are fully funded, right? Because there are grants that this professor gets and they need graduate students to execute the aim of the project. So that is why it is usually fully funded. So how I got my own funding was, I told you I didn't get a professor directly through cold email because there are two ways to admissions that I know for the past 3 years that I have applied. Number one is you apply to an umbrella program where you will do rotation within the program, right? And number two is that you apply directly to a professor and the professor brings you in, check that you have all the minimum requirements, but also screen you to see if you are perfect fits for their lab. Let me tell you something. From our experience or from my recent experience, these people don't really care about grade. There's something called threshold, right? The threshold is miss 3.0 over 4.0. Shikena. If you have that, you have scaled to one. So someone with 4 point, first class on 2-1 or very strong 2-1 or so. Sorry, things might be a bit contradicting because experiences differs from one person to another, right? So you having a first class also like you have crossed one of the threshold for the department, right? But what they are really interested in is your motivation, your experience, right? And if you are a good fit, whether your background matches with what they are doing, whether you're applying directly to a professor or to the school, right? So when I was applying, yes, I do have a first class, but I've been applying for the past 3 years. I didn't get in until this last one. I have about 6 publications. I still didn't get in until this last one. Do you get it? And there are people that had lesser than me, but they got it way ahead of me, right? So Abdul Basir can testify to it. We worked at the same lab at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, and glory be to God, we are both in the US now. So funding is the critical part of applying to a school in the US. So the moment you see there's no funding, you take it away. And how you know there's a funding, either through advertisement by a professor or the program advertised, it is always boldly written on their website. It's like a bragging right for them that we have funding, we will fund you. So it was what I checked first. And my home funding didn't come directly from a professor, but from the department. So the first thing you do in my school at Oklahoma State University, you are welcome to apply, is that I applied directly to the program. I reached out to one or two professors. Fortunately for me, they responded. I was not so lucky about getting responses from professors. That is me. I know there are a lot of people out there, so don't panic. You are doing the right thing. It's not you. So most of the time, it's not about you. It's just the system, right? So when one of the professors replied, he said, okay, so go ahead and apply. The way it works in the department is that you get to meet all of the professors, then you choose the one who will settle down in. So they are telling you that I cannot admit a student directly, but the student needs to get into the department. So the department decide who gets in and automatically fund the students through teaching assistantship, right? So then if you settle down in a professor's lab after a second semester, as the case of my own school, then if the professor has a grant, right, as like is financially capable at that time. They are financially capable for research. That one is cool. So you do your PhD, you have projects to do. But if they don't have enough money from grants to fund you, the back off for my department is that we continue to be a TA until your professor has a grant, then we pull you off teaching assistantship, then you report to the lab as a research assistant. TA just gives you extra workload because I have a lot of students with grade currently now. So that's an extra workload. RA, I envy them so much because they report to it's a lot of work for them too, but at least you are doing something in the lab directly. But this one, I work in the lab and as a teaching assistant. So the good thing about teaching assistantship is that when this whole problem of funding issue in the US started, it affected research assistantship. So But schools pay teaching assistants, not professors. Schools have money because they admit students, the student pay from the tuition they got from the student is what they used to pay TA, right? So whether the school has no research funding or not, as a TA, you are fully covered. So nothing like, oh, there's no more research grants. As far as there are students in the school, you will still keep getting the funding. And there are some schools that they admit you as a RA, that is research assistant, even if there's a funding cut or the funding for your professor gets exhausted at any point, nobody will kick you out of the program. They just put you as a teaching assistant. So that is how it works for me. So I applied directly to the department. They told me anybody that applies and gets admitted, then they get fully funded scholar. I applied for a master's actually, but I got admitted for a PhD. If it's something you can talk more about, maybe later, but as we go on, let me go back to work. But feel free to call me anytime you want me to speak. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a bit fast because I need to get something done.
No,
I
no worries,
apologize
no
for that.
worries. Thank you so much. Let's let you get back to your lab and get back to work. So we'll go to Oludare to take on the question also.
Yeah, could you please rephrase the question?
Okay, so particularly the question is focusing on funding. Some people got RA, TA, or fellowship. So which scholarship pathway are you on, and that is funding your study? And how did you get this scholarship? Maybe the pathway you did. Did you do a special application? Was it part of your application package? Was it your code email that stand you out to get that funding?
Okay, thank you. I think I must start by appreciating what Ahmed, related. That was quite in depth, at least about applying to umbrella programs like that. But mine was a research assistantship, right? And one thing I would need everyone to know is that faculties over here have a kind of autonomy in the sense that there are a lot of research grants they apply to, like he was pointing out earlier. So faculties get those funds, and if you're not applying to umbrella programs like natural sciences, like chemistry, where you have to there are some institutional researches they conduct. I think so most of the chemistry programs I've seen, you only need to apply to the school, and then you rotate labs and all that. And some of the natural sciences, when it comes to life sciences, basically, I think you get your research assistantship by through your faculty, through your principal investigator, your PI, right? So mine was through my code email because of the autonomy I was talking about of these faculties. So most of these faculties have the autonomy because they are the one bringing the fund into school. So if you can scale through the basic requirement of getting admission into the school, and they have seen that you are a good fit for their lab, then you are good to go. And that is what makes this process a bit less tedious, right? Now, the second what's it called I got was a PhD in Cornell University, and I had to go through series of committee admission, at least two of them, before I finally got the thing, and then what happened. Now, but in this case, you don't need to stress yourself about the formal application before you get a yes. You would have gotten a yes. The formal application would just be like just a walkover. Yeah, so it is. I think that is relatively easy, especially if you are in the life sciences and some areas, right? Because it is not always the go-to strategy, right? So if a sponsor is seeing, if you are compiling your CV and your transcript, and you are attaching that to a code email that you are sending to a faculty, and he has seen it and he's saying he wants to interview you, that naturally means that your CV, or what you can see on your CV, qualifies you to gaining admission in the school, right? So at least that means you can gain admission to the school. But what really matters is the funding. So if you have done the informal interview and then he's saying, oh, you are good to go, apply, then that is like, unless something happened, unless village people, like we used to put it, you are in. If your supervisor is saying apply, I have fund, you are like 85% in to that school. Because when you're applying, you will see something like who recommended you, or who are you coming into, and then you tell him. And when you're done applying, you get back to him that you've applied. The grad school will just check that you can meet the basic requirement and they will forward your file to him, because if he's saying yes, then yes, you are good to go. So that is mainly for research assistantship, and I think it is very nice that Ahmed has covered the teaching assistantship. And just like I was saying, most of these research assistantship that are umbrella programs just follows what he said earlier. You have to apply to the school, because there are programs where they run a departmental joint umbrella program, like he said, a joint departmental program where the funding is just for individual faculty, it's for the department as a whole. So you have to apply to the department and go through a committee scrutiny, just like some top R1 schools. I know of Cornell because I had that experience. So you really want to work with it in that line. And that is why it is in my own, what's it called, I would advise, because of course, because of my own experience, I would advise. So at that point, you really don't need to stress yourself about recommendation letter, at least not yet. You might not really need to really stress yourself about statement of purpose that very much. Of course, one of my applications, and I think I must acknowledge what Chika was saying earlier. I got one of my SOPs for like 2.5 months, going over, coming back, going over, and all that. But in this case, if you can channel your energy in trying to get people your work aligns with, you're already sent your code email, you have drafted your CV, you attach your transcript, and you can speak with them. Okay, this is how the things you want to do, and you are good to go. Even my SOP, the SOP I used to gain admission here was like the lowest quality SOP of all the SOPs that I use for all my applications, because it was just a one-page SOP, because they are requiring for one-page SOP, and I was like, how will I put everything that I want to at least have quite a number of publications, conference and all those things. I'm like, how do I put all these things on my SOP? And but that did not really mean, because I had gotten something informally and it was just to finalize it formally. And if I would advise anyone, especially if your program is such that you can follow that part, I think it is better for you to, identify prospective PIs like we have been pointing out, try to reach out to them via code email, and then if you can get the approval, you should be good to go.
Okay, thank you so much. So, we have covered the both angle of research assistantship and also teaching assistantship. So, I will speak lastly on the last one so that we can move to questions in the chat box and we can respond to them. So, there's also another part called the fellowship. You can also get funding through fellowships. I don't know how rampant this is in the science field, but I know in Purdue we have the NHIS fellowship. We have a lot of science-based fellowship in Purdue University. And for the fellowship, so there are different pathways of it. There are some that you as an applicant or as a student can apply yourself. But for my own, I got the Purdue Rose Fellowship, which was applied by my advisor on my behalf, through the faculty on my behalf. So for me, it was meant to, you are just required to get admission. So when I got the admission, there was no teaching assistant or RA position. So the department applied for most of us that were admitted for fellowship to the school to fund us, as this is their interested students. So we got the fellowship, and the fellowship is funding me for like 4 years funding. And so there's also another pathway aside teaching assistant. So currently on my work experience, actually written graduate research assistant, but under the Purdue Rose Fellowship, which means the fellowship covers my funding so that I can focus on my own research. Before my 4 years ends, I will also do teaching assistantship also within the fellowship that covers it for me to gain teaching experience. So I'll be navigating through both research assistants and teaching assistantship all in the fellowship. And so that is also another pathway of funding. However, the fellowship is in two ways. You might apply yourself or the department applies for you, depending on their policy in that department. And yeah, so just
Yeah, permit me to jump in. I'm sorry for cutting.
please. Yeah, sure.
I think we would need to know that there are also institutional scholarships over here in the US. We know this is very much popular in the UK, where you get your Commonwealth, Mastercard, and all that, right? But the US also have some institutional scholarships like the Fulbright. There are Mastercards in several schools. I know of Arizona State University. I know of, I've forgotten the school, but some of those institutions have affiliations with some schools, right? And there are cases where you get partial funding, about 70%, and you can get fellowships, because even in life sciences, like you were trying to point out, even in life sciences, when you get your funding, either partial or full, you can get to the school and apply for fellowships, right, yourself. So I think that those are other ways that you can, explore. So in case anyone gets maybe like 70% funding, I think if you can really, get it and get in, you can get in and then apply for their, depending on the school, though, at least. At least I've seen quite a number of schools where you can get at least $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 as fellowship, and that would go a long way to, helping you. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Abdul Bashir, please jump in. Jump in.
Yeah. Good evening once again to everyone. Yeah, so just to add to what Abdulhamid and the other panelists said. So yeah, normally it will either be TARA or fellowship, but then you also need to be flexible. For instance, in my case, the call was actually for an RA, a RA. So when we're doing the interview and all of these things, we were discussing, and then at some point she asked if I would like to teach. Although in my CV, it's there that I tutored some junior colleagues in my school back then. So she asked if I was, willing to teach. And this is like an interview for a RA, you get? So I told her, definitely, I'd like to teach, like, of course, like I said before. So it's like an opportunity to, so just that you don't need to like limit yourself to just one particular field, because you might be interested in just doing research in the lab, but then the funding or the opportunity you get might not really tilt you towards that part. So you need to be flexible to know that whichever one that comes your way, just grab it, because you never can tell which one would give you a breakthrough. So currently I'm a TA currently, but the call initially was for ARA, and I saw the opportunity and I never let it go by. So just know that if you are focusing on doing research, yeah, you might still want that, but then the opportunity you get might be one for teaching assistant. So don't hesitate to like grab the opportunity. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that. So I'll be going to the chat box. We have dealt with funding so much, and I think it's clear. So we'll start with the first question, which I saw. I'm starting from the top actually. And this was from the HND. For HND degree holders, how easy is it for them to gain admission into schools in the United States? What is the process like? I don't know if any of the panelists have an HND, but pending that, you can indicate. So I will just respond. I do not have an HND. I came up with a BSc. But if you have HND, from what I've read online, transcript evaluation is very important for you. You might need to do a transcript evaluation this way to really help you evaluate your HND degree into the US or Canadian format, and this will help you gain more. But I'm not a specialist in HND application route, but I know you emailed me, so I'll send you a Telegram link also that has a route. There's a group I know that has a route for HND to BSc. I don't know. It seems Ahmed want to add.
Yeah. Sorry. I know this mental stress of HND, BSc, first class, second class, and the likes. And I've often seen it online where people will say, so if you have a 2-2 and HND, they kind of group these two things together, see having a distinction in HND is equivalent to a 2-2 in BSc. That is just total crap, right? You see, this HND is not only Nigeria that has specialized program aside from BSc. If you go to India, they have other things. If you go to other countries, they call different degrees different names, right? It depends on how you strategically place your application. There are some universities, I think West Virginia University, there are some universities that recognized the HND. And how are they able to recognize the HND? Because people have applied to that school that were very strong and they came in with that degree. They don't really know. You see, these people, most of them don't know beyond the four wall of what is happening in their country because it's a very big country. Aside from what the system they use, they are not familiar with other systems. So HND does not limit you, right? As Obasanjo has rightly said, do West evaluation, it kind of converts, they understand that one. So it kind of converts your HND to American standard, right? It's the same thing goes to BSc. There are some schools that don't care about the BSc from other countries because they don't just understand the grading system. The grading system in the US is different. 70 is not A, right? 70 is probably C, right?
Okay.
So it's like 93% for A's. And it's not just for graduate students alone, even for undergraduate. I asked some of my students that what is A? They now told me that there's A plus, there's A minus. These are the things that they understand. So whether you have an HND or a BSc, if you can do West evaluation, good, because it was one of the things that was a bottleneck for me. A lot of schools were asking for West evaluation because they just wanted it. So I just removed them. If you can do that, good, right? But I just need everybody to know that what this school are interested in is the contents of the transcripts. HND just becomes a bit confusing for them because probably you had your ND from one school and HND from another school. So they kind of try to merge the two together. But if you email them and explain to them that, okay, so in my system of education, I did so year in school and so year, but this and the transcript, can I apply? If you place it, there's no, this thing is not cast on stone. If you tell them it's not cast on stone, if you tell the graduate coordinator, this is what I have, they might tell you to apply. But if you have done West evaluation or your HND and NDs from the same school, just shoot in your application. There's no harm in doing that. But don't just see yourself that HND is lower than. No, they just want to, when reviewing transcripts, they look at, okay, what's your total grade? Right? Did you meet up the minimum benchmark? Number two is they want to look at, they also look at, okay, is your grade competitive? I'm not saying grade is not this thing. I have a first class as well. But I don't see it as a factor. If it is a factor, coupled with my research experience and publication, I would have gotten in since. And I've sent my SOP to different people that said it's very good, but I didn't get in until now. But I just want to let you know that this thing is not just cast on stone, right? So having an HND is not a bottleneck. Shoot that application out. If you can do West evaluation, it just gives you a better chances, like to more schools, just as it gives to BSc. So you can't go back and convert your HND to BSc. Even if you do conversion in Unilag, you are just, maybe in my opinion, creating more confusion for yourself because this one is this school, this one Yaba Tech, conversion in Unilag, they don't know much. Do you get? I'm not saying the conversion is, I don't have experience with that, but your HND should not be a bottleneck. Shoot out your application. They just want to see the courses that you are taking, if it aligns with the prerequisite courses you are expected to take for a grad school. And they usually don't see the, and you have a good research. They need you to come and work and get the school running as a research institution. Do you get? So just if you have an HND, don't limit yourself, just shoot, you are good.
Let me say something about this.
Okay.
Ahmed, please. The truth is, not all schools accept HND. Okay.
Yes, I said that. Yeah.
HND, but it's not like it's it's going to prevent you from getting an admission. I think the most important, first of all, reach out to the school that you are interested in. Let them know what you have. You understand? And if you have HND, there's no two ways about this. You must do West evaluation. If you're coming to the US, once it's HND, you must do West evaluation. You know, so with that, even with that, not all schools will accept you, but then giving yourself, like I said earlier, when you apply to different schools, reach out to these schools. US schools are not like Nigerian schools where their email does not work out. Maybe when you send a mail, it will take 2 years or nobody. No. If you shoot an email to a school in the US, any email they provide is working, and there are people monitoring those emails. So don't limit, take your time. Look at the graduate coordinator, admission, whatever. You see, when you go to their website, you see all those things. You see emails, who to reach out to. If you email the wrong person or the wrong office, the person in charge of the email will direct you to the actual office, to send you a mail, to get to the actual. So, reach out via email to these schools so that you don't waste your time. If you have it in there and you feel that, okay, because you have opportunity, then you keep applying, it might affect you. You might not get admitted and you're wasting your time and you don't know where your problem is coming from. That's number one. And number two, talking about grades. Ahmed said grade is not important. Ahmed, forget to get first class, it don't matter to you. We will not get first class. Now we know it in our IDC. Grade is important, but if you're already a graduate, I know you cannot change your grade. So I'm not going to, fault you. But if you're in school, if it's possible, make a good grade. You understand? But once you're a graduate, my first advice to you, if you want to stand a chance, is go and evaluate. I'm speaking from experience as someone who has been applying for a long time. and still come in here. So if you can, if your graduate don't have a first class, do West evaluation. It will stand you out from a whole lot of other applicants. Okay. So for your HND, do West evaluation, reach out to the school, tell them what you have. If you reach out to, I mentioned that there are over 400 schools in the US. If you're able to reach out to 20 schools or more, believe you me, there's possibility that at least 5 of those schools, will give you a positive response. And out of these 5, you also possibility that you get admitted into 2 or 3 if you do your, you have your other documents or other necessary things ready. So that's just it about the HND something. You can get admission, but it's not a walk in the park. You have to put in more effort. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think they have done justice to it. But
Yeah,
just to add,
permit me to jump on that actually. I'm sorry.
okay, you did. Okay,
Yeah.
I know this question will bring a lot of
A
debate.
lot of, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I think you would need to know. I strongly agree with Ahmed, and I think I agree with some points that Obiama raised. I think one thing you need to know is that the only limitations that you have is the one that you have adopted. Trust me. Now there are polytechnics even over here. Like, they are like technical
Yeah.
university. I think I know of the Reselia Polytechnic Institute, and there are some other schools, and you might even have an HND and get into schools over here without a WES. You just try it out. Now, I have a friend of mine that got into a program with a 2-2. I'm not sure if she later did the WES. With her 2-1, she got a direct PhD from bachelor's into a private school, doing something in biomedical sciences in a school that has never taken an international student before. So, because she was able to, and that one thing you need to know is that if you want to know something about a school, you have an issue, you really want to just look for the graduate coordinators or the HODs or something around that school and write them. Just try to like be able to like communicate what you really want to communicate and what you really need to communicate in a way. If you can do that, I don't think you don't need to, oh, they said this is it and this has to be it. Because I believe some people will most likely be getting in without having to do West evaluation for their program, because there are also polytechnic universities even here in the US. So I don't think you need to limit yourself that I don't have money for West, and so I have a HND, I don't need to apply. Just make your own research, and you could even be the one to start creating that party that even if it does not exist now, to start creating the party that, oh, I did this, I tried it this way. Do you get it? Because what you hear people tell you are what they know about. So you don't need to adopt people's limitations. You just need to like, okay, see what they think is possible from their own perspective and explore more. So if you are open to that, I think you can always even open doors that people don't think, is openable. And you can always guide people to getting in. So trust me, it is not that you are always have to evaluate ways. Yeah, I'm with you. Can
I
go on.
think I'm not sure I want to take Ahmed again. We need to move. Okay, in 1 minute. In 1 minute, Ahmed.
Maybe less than 1 minute.
Okay.
Obioma, thank you so much. And you see, this thing is, after getting into this program, I see that a lot of things that we, I'm not trying to dispute anything, just everybody should know that we also just came in. And probably some of you may even have more knowledge and experience than us, but the
True.
difference is just that we are already here. Some of us, some people here, we have been applying together, right? So it doesn't mean that we have more knowledge than you. We are just sharing experiences. So don't get yourself confused. Take the advice here based on your situation, right? So you see this HND matter, BSc transcripts. It is then I got to know that most of these things, especially even with the way we write SOP, probably we are going to talk about that, is not that deep. That is just how I want to put it, right? So when it comes to transcript, just as Obioma has rightly said, send the email. You cannot go back to change your HND. Some schools will tell you categorically, we don't want West. Have you seen schools like that?
Yeah.
They don't want to see West. And they know because they see that West is kind of boosting people's CGPA, probably because people are now advertising it. If you don't have 2-1 or this, you have to do West. Some schools now say, no, we don't want West. Send in your raw this thing. We have internal evaluators that will look at it, right? Why some schools will still tell you? So this thing is not cast on the stone. Just know based on your situation, you have an HND, shoot in. If you have a 2-2, you need more work, even than someone that has an HND with a distinction. But HND, BSc, everything, if you're unclear, just send the email to the school, to the graduate coordinator. They will tell you if they're interested in you. Transcript is just by the way. Yes, they will look at it. If you meet the requirement, then they want to see your grade is very important. Your research experience. If you are a better writer in terms of writing scientifically, they will pick you over someone that has a first class. Right? So you want to touch everything. If you are still in school, work towards the grade and get the best one. If you are out of school, maybe you have graduated, don't worry about it anymore. Just move forward. Look at what you can do better. Research experience, they need it so much than many other things that we think of. So very important.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And thank you to all the speakers that contributed to the HND question. So just to cap it up, grades are important, so as your experience. The thing is, for the HND, they normally advise the words, the evaluation, so that it can make them understand better. Because I can tell you, my school in Morocco, where I did my master's degree fully funded in Morocco, does not accept HND. I was part of the Nigerian students discussing with the school, and we submitted every evidence to the school to say HND is the same as BSc. And the school is still, the admission committee said they still don't understand how to equate it, that we needed a letter from the embassy, the Nigerian embassy, to state clearly, even though we showed them this minister saying on newspaper that HND is not the same as PA, breaking the diachronomy or whatever English that they were using. We presented all this evidence, but they said no, that they could still not understand how HND is equal to 8. So there are some schools that have those limitations. But however, can you still get admission with HND? Yes, a lot of people are still doing it with HND. But you need to now up your game. You need to gain better experience. You need to really, really show fit. That was what Ame was trying to say, and Obioma. Show fit beyond your grade. A lot of time, one of my boss normally used to say, first class are the most lazy students, she has said, in applying abroad, because they depend mostly on their grade. So for me, I did not finish with first class. I did 2-1, and the grade I use, my work alone, I can do it without applying for first class. I know Ame wants to come for me. Don't worry, Ame, we know you are special.
No, I'm not coming for you. You are right. You are right. I just want to say something. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm taking the course now, a graduate course. And the first day the professor came in, a very advanced professor, of course, he came in and he said something. Grade is super important. Oh, please don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I beg you, please
Sure.
don't get me wrong. But he said something. He said, um, this is the first time of the class, but you are doing PhD or masters, especially PhD. Just know that after your PhD, nobody cares about your grade. He's the one taking the course. He said nobody cares about your grade. So they'll care about your writing, your publication, your productivity. That when they want to employ people for PhD, they don't look at your transcript. Please, your grade is super, super, super duper important, right? But it's not so much. It's just a part of the admission requirements. It's not even 25% of the admission requirement. Once you are able to have that 3.0/4, which they set, and you are better off in every other part, they will pick you first, too, right?
Sure.
So if you are a first class, don't just relax on the first class. Work very hard on other aspects, especially your writing skills, your research experience, your publication. Maybe if you have a good one, yes. If you don't have, just make sure you do everything just to be competitive, right?
Yeah, thank you. And that was very, very good. And also, this is not just about the first class. For those who have tutu, a lot of people get discouraged. I have tutu. I have tutu friends who are on fully funded scholarship, traveling the world. I have a tutu friend in my master's degree in Morocco who had fully funded 2 year scholarship. So even if you have tutu, what are the experiences you are gaining to make you strong candidate beyond your results? Those are very, very important things people don't consider. So a lot of people like say, oh, I have 2-2, I have 2-1, and this. I came out with 2-1, and this is my third scholarship I am on. And it's very, very important because I kept building experience. Even as I am here, I am still focusing on how can I make myself stronger beyond my grade. Most time I forgot what I graduated with, to be frank, because it's not even related to what I'm doing in my PhD. I did a undergraduate in business, and I'm doing education currently. Wait for those that will be joining next year, and next week you will know more better. Going forward, please, for someone who hasn't done anything yet, what can he or she start with at the moment? So I'm the one that will answer this question. I mean, we are not taking you again because we need to move.
Yeah, I just want to pick up my phone. That's fine.
Okay, so what do you do? Start researching the schools. That's the first step. A lot of times, people, trust me, I always say something, do not be a lazy applicant. Do not be a lazy applicant. You cannot subcontract application. The first thing you need to do, how many schools can you identify in your course of study? Google top 10 fully funded schools in my field, top 10 fully funded, top 10 best schools in the world in your field, and start. The first place is research. Trust me, there are a lot of opportunities, even beyond what you studied. You could get a lot of opportunities, but if you do not research yourself, you might feel limited by the popular schools you are hearing on LinkedIn and on social media. And there are a lot of schools which you have not even heard the name. US has 50 states. And in these 50 states, there are multiple schools giving admission in the 50 states. So let's even say two schools per state. That means a minimum of 100 schools across the US are giving admissions. So you need to really just do a lot of research. So moving forward, good evening, sir. Please, how or where do you find schools that are tailored to your research interests? I've said it already. First of all, find the one that is tailored to your course of interest, like what a speaker mentioned. Which school in the US is strong fit or is a leading expert in your field? Then that way you check the research interest. I think someone omitted. Does someone want to contribute to that? Okay.
I think you covered it. I think you covered it already.
Okay, great. Great. So just trying to move.
On that one, sorry, on that,
Yes.
I have seen some people who come to me and say, tell me schools that do this one. That, like you said, there are many schools that I know there are over 400 schools here. I can't even know what all the schools do, But you have Google there. You have ChatGPT. What I did in my own cases, schools that what I did was I searched for biological sciences in the United States, fully funded biological science in the United States, fully funded this one, that one, fully funded masters in this. When you make that kind of a search on Google or using ChatGPT, they'll bring options. I have a book. I think I still have that. I wrote down every school. When I browse one school, I look at if they don't have the course I want. I know I browsed over 50 schools. If they don't have the course I want, I just mark them S. If the admission requirement does not favor me, I'll mark them S. That was how I was able to streamline down to the schools I eventually made applications to, because you actually cannot apply to all the schools you get. And if you don't know what they are doing and you you're wasting your time. So when you check a school, you streamline it down to what you want. So if I say schools in the that do biological sciences, okay, they have funding. Some schools don't admit for masters for some programs. So if the school does not apply, accept masters, they admit only PhD, and I look at this, I'll just tick it an X and move to the next school. So your best bet is using Google or AI to search for schools. Use keywords. What course are you going for? Use those keywords to search. When you search, make a time to read through the school website. Most of their websites are very, very well explanatory. When you read, you know what you want, and that you're able to streamline down to apply to.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you for that. Moving forward, someone asked, is this orientation and guide specifically for life and physical science? How about those in Bachelors of Arts? So we have a session specifically for non-STEM students or applicants by next week, Saturday, 22nd. I've dropped my social media. Please follow me on that social media. I'll also be sending emails to everyone that registered for this to join. Now, that session is specifically for non-STEM. I am a non-STEM person. I'm doing PhD in curriculum and instruction with a major in curriculum studies. And trust me, I'll be sharing my experiences there and all that. And so just like what Obioma mentioned, you need to really cast a wide net. I wrote over 50 emails to over 50 schools and got a lot of feedback. I finally streamlined it to applying to 16 schools. In those 16 schools, I finally got 5 admissions. And so I had options to choose. So sometimes you might want to cast a wide net, then beat it down, use Excel sheets, any template you have, whether written or not. And this way you'll be able to skim down the numbers to see your interest fit. And yeah, moving forward, please, if you have any comments of what you have learned, opinions, appreciation, please start posting it. I'm trying to cut down the session so that we will not stay too long, but start posting it so that we'll have feedback. And just still scrolling through, HND question has been taken already. Please, panelists, don't forget to drop your social media. Can you speak of MPH programs, securing funding and extra expenses of SOFA's application? Okay. Who is in MPH? I think that is the Masters in Public Health. Anyone who is a MPH, from the panelists? Do we have any MPH or someone who has experience that can answer that question?
Okay,
Okay. Go for it.
go ahead, please.
Okay, I think we'll take Bashit, then we'll come back to Ahmed.
Okay.
So fast, like, I mean, I'm not in public health, but I've also had like my fair share of applying to public health schools and public health departments. Yeah, but I don't know what exactly the person is asking for. But I think so fast it's not something you can cast aside. I don't know, especially if it's. But I mean, there are some schools that you want to apply for public health, and then you don't need to. I mean, just apply to the school. So far, it's something that you cannot cast aside. It's one of the major ways where you can apply to matters in public health. So I don't know if it's something that you want to cast aside or something, but maybe Senator can add to it.
So fast actually is a unified way of applying to public health schools in the US. Most public health schools use that so fast. I think they include some things in biomedical science and all of that. So if you want to go to a school, let's say my school now, I don't think they have so fast, but let's say they have. When you go to the school website, they will state it there that you have to apply through so fast.
Yeah.
If it's the schools that that are doing it, they will tell you apply through so fast. So if you're applying through so fast, you don't need to make a separate application for the school again. When you open I think I did one application on that so fast. When you open the so fast website, you see the schools and you see their timelines or deadlines. So if I'm applying for 5 schools, for instance, now you just tick the 5 schools. So the application process is just the same thing. You have the same documents that you use to apply to a school directly, except explicitly stated either from the school or on the SOFA's website, but it's usually not the same document. So if it's the same document that you are using, you don't have a problem. If they require for extra document, maybe your school or the SOFA's website, then you have to get that SOFA's that extra document. But I don't think that there's any extra thing about it.
Yeah, you can't actually cast it aside. You have to apply
I've used
through
it.
it.
Yes. That's so far. I think there are like 2 platforms, but I don't know if they are peculiar to public health. I've never applied to a public health program before, but that's just as she rightly said, it's a unified system, right? So, but for public health, since they've already made justified that aspect, but for public health, public health is like an MBA of life science. It's a professional course, right? So, if you want to apply for public health, it's good, but you need to be very strong in terms of data analytics and the like. So you want to put your best foot forward when applying for a public health program. It's totally different from every other program. I don't know what they do there particularly, but for those that have been following online, like I can't remember their names, but I remember we sent screenshots to Obasanjo, right? So one thing is that is like is a professional master's program. If you want to apply for it, depending on how strong you are, the best in the world is Johns Hopkins, but you should also consider schools that are not so strongly ranked in that field, right? So you want to combine schools that are very strong and schools that are not so strong or well known for that public health. If you really want the public health, because most of the people that apply for public health, they are usually people that have medical degrees that I have seen so far. So it depends on what you're interested in, anyways.
Yeah, let me say something. Sorry. From my understanding, from Nigeria, if you want to study medicine and surgery, you want to study pharmacy, you want to study optometry, you can actually apply with your O level. But in the US, like WAEC, you write JAMB and all of those. But in the US, they use O level enter medical school. You don't use O level to go to. You have to get a bachelor's first, maybe in biology, microbiology, before you now go to a medical school. So the same thing applies to public health. Most times, most public health courses, require you to have a previous bachelor's degree before you can apply to it. That is why it's like that, and they must look at your degree courses that you already have, known and all of those things before you can apply to public health. So if you want to go to public health, like Ahmed said, you have to understand that you really, 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 really need to be strong, you know. But if you don't have a good footing, you can do courses like biology or any other related course, then that will not give you a fit to apply to the SOFAS or public health. I think the reason they made that SOFAS unified application platform is so to limit the number of students that are admitted, and this is to ensure that they admit actually the best hands, not like every school can admit anyone. SOFAS will be the one to offer you admission into the school. So I think that's about it for SOFAS.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll be moving. Someone did ask if we have a community that we can take this further. We will be creating a WhatsApp platform. I'm still discussing with the panelists because
I think someone has a question for you.
oh yes, I saw the hand, but I'm just trying to take out the text-based question first, then we'll come to the hands. So Oluwafunke, please just give us a few minutes to take out the chat box because once I leave, I'm not sure I'll be able to scroll up again to the top. We have so many messages. Yeah, so we are going to send an email, and after agreeing with the panelists, if we fully agree to create a community, we'll send an email with the community link and also the link to the non-STEM session so that you can join and continue your question based on there while we take other questions here too. So the next question says, good evening. I joined late because I just stumbled on this. Okay, I would like to know prerequisites before applying like GRE, IELTS. So this cannot be answered generally. We have addressed this earlier on. Like I said, we are going to be sharing the recording so you can check it out. However, I will also advise you check your school of interest or your course of interest requirements. It's very, very important. Can a BSc holder also apply for GRE? Yes. GRE is not limited to, I don't know if you need to be BSc to apply, but everybody can write, graduates can write, all graduates can write GRE. It just depends on your money and your time. If I'm not wrong, yeah. Please kindly help with group to connect well for better future discussions. Yes, we are working on that. We are working on that, Solomon, and we are going to be sending out emails. We'll work on that. Remember, all of us are like, you can see Ahmed is in the lab. All of us are busy. Trust me, if I start class on Monday, you might not hear from me very well till on Wednesday because Monday and Tuesdays, I have 3 classes on Tuesdays, back to back, like 1:30 to 9:30 p.m. Yeah, I thought you okay. See, so she's currently working. So most times the problem with community is
I'm doing a homework now.
you see, who regulates the community is my own challenge. I really don't have that energy for WhatsApp. Please, don't post BC, don't remove this person. Why are you fighting? Sometimes I don't have the energy. But let's see. How can I write statement of purpose for scholarship? So you can write statement of purpose by researching online and checking. I think there are 1,001 samples for it. I'm not so sure we want to go deep into that. Although we had a question in it, but I didn't ask because we didn't really go into deep into that. So I think I want to skip that. Or is there any speaker that want to attend to that in 2 minutes? How can one write a strong statement of purpose for scholarships?
Well, I don't think it's something you can be covered in a 2 minute crash course, right? But basically, just I think this is like the general outline. Your research statement, the main research problem you want to solve, and the school you are applying to, and how that research statement is relevant to the school you're applying to, your background, educational background, and relevant research background, and the other skills that you have from the other experiences that you have, the alignment of your research interest with the lab you're applying to or the school you're applying to, and your long-term goal. I think that should cover it in each of these things in paragraphs. And I think you should, but you can always see 1,001 samples out there, like Professor just said. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
the best bet
Yeah.
is go on YouTube, type statement of purpose for grad school, life science, whatever. You will see a lot of videos where experts will explain how it is written and everything. Then from there you get an idea of how you can write it. But by explanation like this is not going to help. But you need to watch several videos and be creative about it. So you still need to watch, especially YouTube. I will recommend that.
Aside
Okay.
watching videos, using samples, getting samples and
Yeah.
getting samples of people that have written, and you use it when you write, you compare. Or don't go and copy anybody, or don't go and use ChatGPT, flag it. You understand? You have to write it yourself, but then use other people's samples and videos or whatever you with that to be able to craft something good on your SOP.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone in veterinary medicine here? Although I've responded by text, but someone is asking, do I need to take a professional exam aside the normal requirement for veterinary medicine? My response was the person needs to check the candidate, which is by name Deborah. She needs to check the school admission requirements for that course of study. But anyone in veterinary medicine that can pick up that?
Yeah, sure. I'm a vet.
Oh, great.
So for veterinary medicine, yeah, I mean, we don't really need any extra documents or extra exams to write. I've not really seen any vets that wrote GRE or whatever exam. So your transcript and your certificate is enough, because most times you'll be applying to schools that are also veterinary oriented. So if you're going to be applying to like schools that have veterinary medicine, they know what the degree, like what degree itself holds, because it's like a 6 years degree. So you obviously must have covered what the requirements would be. So most schools will not even ask you to buy GRE. Like in a school that you're interested in, several other courses might be like GRE and likes might be one of the requirements, but like for vets, it's not like a requirement. You hardly find a school where you have to write all of those things. So just go with your SOP, your transcript, your certificates, your commission letters, and all of those things. So there should be enough to cover you. And there's something I actually want to add to everything we'll be discussing today. I mean, we've not really focused. The grades, the transcript, the recommendation letter, all of these things matters a lot. But then I think one thing we've not really discussed, maybe to be discussed in the non-STEM, is like you yourself as a person, you need to want it. I mean, like you might have all the grades, you might have everything, but you need to show that tenacity. For instance, the opportunity I got currently was like I got the opportunity for it, but like I had to, reach out to this lady, and I think one of the parents also said that like it was consistent, and then the man was like, because you're consistent, like I want you in my lab, you understand? So I had to like reach out to her, message her on LinkedIn, send her cold emails. I think I'm the best person for the position. I think I'm the best. Just go through my profile, just go through my document, and then you would see that, so all of those things that like you might have like hundreds of people fighting for just two spots. What stands you out might not be your grade, might not be your transcript, might not be it might just be what you are doing, like that gives you an extra edge. So if you guys find an opportunity, don't even hesitate. Don't be shy or something. Just go for it. Send them the emails. They might see it, they might not respond, but trust me, they are seeing it. They are seeing, and it might actually like be what would make the difference. So just please, if you see an opportunity, grab it with your 2 hands, because I know that for African children, I mean, grad school is one of our major breakthroughs. So if you have the opportunity, don't let it leave you at all. Just show that you actually want it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, like I used to add, you need a sprinkle of agidi in Yoruba, a sprinkle of stubbornness.
Very important.
You need it in this grad school journey. It can be really frustrating. Trust me, you need that sprinkle of it, because sometimes I don't even want to talk about my own story. I know all of us here have different stories of the struggle. Sometimes you will wake up and say you're not even sure they will collect you, but you can never tell. Yeah, Ahmed.
Last year I was so frustrated to the point that I was almost forced to like create a session like this where people that has been rejected will just come and rant. Like there have been a lot of how to apply. Let's even do a general conference call. Let everybody just see, I think last year, Basis, you remember very well, at NIMA, we were discussing about how a lot of people that we graduated together have gotten admission and we are still like struggling. We just had to like rant with each other. Like Basi graduated as the best student in veterinary medicine, University of Ilorin. He said, I graduated as the best student in microbiology at Olabisi Onabanjo. What is happening? Like even where I used to work, there will be like even people that have not done up to you have traveled. We have a lot of in our lab. We always have people traveling out every year, right? But the thing is that the truth is that if you don't give up, I swear you will get it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just like a standard rule. If you keep applying and you keep improving, or not that you keep applying and No, you keep, because you can't be, you if you finish one application, it shows that you are not lazy, because a lot of work goes into application, right? So
Yeah,
every
definitely.
year, keep improving, keep showing people your writing. And sometimes just try to be authentic in one of the application, that let me just even pour my mind. Like, I don't want to follow the whole traditional way. This is all the SOP and everything for every school. They have a list of questions, prompts that they need you to address, right? You can pick one of 20 schools you want to apply to and address it the way it comes to your mind. It could be that one that will work for you. That is just one thing, because trying to be too formal sometimes doesn't show that you are authentic enough. But this is not the section to discuss about that. But just
Honestly.
generally, you will get it. If you have been applying, we are rejection only. But thank God today we are here to discuss, right? So next year it will be you discussing with other people. So now we'll give up for couple. So just
Yes.
keep pushing.
Thank you, Ade. Sure, you
And
brought back
then
memories.
add to that
You
is
brought just to add a bit. Ahmed brought back memories for me, because for those who do not know, so trust me, I tell people rejection is part of the process. So
Mm,
before I got my master's funding, where I did in Morocco, I had over 27 rejection letters over the years. And
mm,
I am kind of person that keeps I have a folder for rejection in my email. Every email I have a folder for rejection. I copy my rejection, I move them to that place. So I count them every year. At the end of the day, if you follow me on social media, I post opportunities I was rejected for. So I have 27 before getting masters. So this PhD own, the 11 rejection did not even shake me, because I was already prepared to see the rejections, like bring them on. We are here for you. And I did it only once and I got the PhD. But that was just few lucky ones like myself, because my own rejection came in my master's also. And that was when,
mm.
but if you did not give up, trust me, every year
Honestly.
keep applying. You will definitely get it. It might not just
Mhm.
be your time, but you will get it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Obioma.
yeah, like you said, there's something called imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Imposter syndrome affected me because you'd be like, you are writing, will they accept me with this one? I didn't have a first class. I don't have this. You'll be asking yourself questions. You'll be wondering, okay, now I'm applying. Who knows how many people are applying to the same course? You'll be thinking you're not enough. It happened to me. You'll be thinking you're not enough. So don't let that deter you, okay? No matter what, even when you begin to think, will I be accepted? Will I be do this? Do it. Go ahead and apply. It's better that you are rejected and you know you made effort than not making any effort. If you didn't make any effort, you won't be rejected, you won't be accepted. You are just there. But if you make effort, it's one of two things. It's either you get it or you don't get it. You understand? If you get it, what if you get it? What if you're going to be the people that will be chosen? Okay, now I don't have experience of this rejection. For me, this is my first time of applying for grad school. Not the first time I started, though. Not the not the first time I started. I started applying since 2021, putting things together, but along the line, I would just stop. I would just the same imposter syndrome. I started application so many years ago, I didn't complete it. But 2025 was the first time I completed all my applications, like from start to finish. And guess what? The first response I got was an acceptance. I was super, super elated. That told me, oh, fine, you've been doing good all this while. You understand? Now, imagine if I had completed the previous applications I started. Who knows? Maybe by now I don't finish my PhD. But I let imposter syndrome, I mean, I know they laugh now. I let
I'm
imposter
happy in
syndrome,
it.
get the better part of me. So this year, if the thing happens, I was able to complete my applications, and the ones that came out, the first one came out positive. The second, I only got one rejection,
Just
and the
one.
school that rejected me, like the school where just one rejection, and
Ah,
the school that
You see,
rejected me was the school
you see, that is what I keep telling people. I know that
but then I didn't apply to.
probably there are some people that are in our shoe now, maybe depressed or
I didn't apply
feeling very bad. And I always tell,
to.
okay. I think Obiama is having lag time. So
yeah, yeah.
this thing is coming in late.
But I just want to tell people out
Oh,
there,
really? So if
maybe, okay, sorry.
So okay, let's do like this. Obiama, can you conclude in 1 minute? Then Ahmed conclude also in 1 minute, so we can move.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, if I had, completed the processes before and applied to more schools, my situation today would have been different. You understand? My situation today would have been different. Like I said, imposter syndrome affected me a lot. I wasn't good enough, and all of those things because I didn't have money to write. I just told myself I could, but when I completed and I got my first acceptance, oh my God, I was so excited. I told myself, you've been doing good all this while. So it's real, imposter syndrome is real, but then don't let it deter you like it did to me. Spread your tentacles, apply for those admissions. The worst that can come is rejection, and nobody has died through rejection. But then an acceptance can still come. So give it a shot.
Nice. Thank you so much. Ahmed.
Thank you. I think I will still discuss the issue of like there should be another session for people that have been facing rejection, right?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Like people just need a session to come and rant. You know, we have a particular group chat for all of us here. We didn't know one another until we got admission. We started looking for visa. That we now became a single family. I've never met Obasanjo one-on-one before. Neither have I met Obioma. The only person I've met before is Basit because we worked at the same place in Nigeria. So I just want to tell you, sometimes or most of the time, it is not about you, right? You might be doing the right thing, but it is not just your time. But you won't know when it is your time. So just keep shooting. There is a lady on that our group. She has the biggest funding for the year,
Yeah.
right? I won't mention name, but I met her. We collected our visa together the same day. I met her when we went to the place DHL. She told me she just finished school last year December. She got admission early this year. Oh. She got the biggest, and some of us have such experience. So you cannot say like it's not about like what I'm saying is that you it's when it is your time, it is your time. As far as you don't give up, some people will get it early. Don't be depressed
Yeah.
when you see them.
Yeah.
Why some will to take them some years? But sometimes those years of rejection are preparing you for something more difficult. Like when you get to graduate school and you be like, you feel that imposter syndrome she was talking about because we still feel it till today. When you enter the lab, they just tell you do this, and they show you one, and they tell you, okay, continue. I've never used MATLAB before. The professor just used one example, and he told me to finish the rest. There was the day he was plotting graph on Excel, and he put error bar. I've not put error bar on Excel before. He just told me, I never knew he would tell me that, okay, do the next one, and come and call me. Like I had to like. So the process of doing it yourself for the application will kind of expand your brain in such a way that when you get to grad school and you're facing some challenges, you'll be like, okay, I've gone through a lot before. I will surely succeed. So sometimes rejection is preparing you for a better future and to even overcome future challenges with ease. So please do not give up. But maybe there will be another session for people that has been rejected for several times. Let's come and talk and let everybody. If you want to cry, cry. Then we will now talk. People that have also faced rejection to give words of support and what you can do better.
Yeah.
But nobody knows
That's
it all anyway.
Let me add
I
something
want
to
us to
what.
move from this rejection. We will not finish this rejection story.
Let me just add one thing to what he said.
Okay.
So I saw your message when you said you sent over 300 code emails. So I'm sure you agree with what I'm about to say, that for we the code email experts, I think for me, but like I like to see that
That was me
some
actually.
I like to see
Yeah.
that response that, oh, sorry, I don't have funding. Oh, sorry, I'm retired. Oh, sorry, for your this thing is strong, but I'm not
Mm.
taking student. Like I like to see those responses than not to see any response at all.
True.
Like you, I also sent close to 200 code emails between July last year. And I tell people, they be like, ah, wow, how come? Because I searched, like I have a book, just like Obioma said, I have also a book where I wrote all the professors, the schools, their interests, how it aligns with mine, all those things. So I go from schools to schools. So I prefer to see, that's like a rejection basically. I prefer to see you tell me that you don't have funding or you are not taking students or something, than not to see response at all. So at some point in your life, you might also be in this stage where you are happy to see that you are rejected other than not seeing any response at all. But trust me, like he said, I've heard so many stories of people who nearly got here, and then the constant stuff is that consistency. So just keep on going. You get rejections. You might not be like Obi-Wan that you got just one rejection. Some of us we got hundreds.
Ah,
We got so many rejections from professors, from schools, different kind of rejections. But then you definitely get it once you just keep on doing it. So please don't give up. Just keep on doing it. Reach out to people, because a journey that you take 3-4 years to do, you might just take like a week because you met people that have done it before. So please reach out to people. Let them guide you on how to do these things. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. In short, I know someone who only applied to one school and got into the school with full funding.
Of course.
Just one school.
See, we did that rejection conference, that conference on graduate school rejection. Let's talk
Yes.
about it.
We'll
We
put
need
it.
it just to give
Yes.
hope to people.
Yes, I think we'll put that in December when we are sure applications are winding down already. Then we can wait people for the new 2027 era. We'll put that because it's very, very important. And I like what Ahmed shared. Some people, like the lady you shared, she finished in December. She has the big funding. I took 3 to 4 years to get rejections before I got my master's. But before I finished my master's, I am in PhD. I just finished my master's July 31st. That's the funniest thing. A lot of people don't know. I came immediately. I finished my master's. I'm entering the US for PhD. But however, my years of rejection was before the master's. Even though the PhD had 11 rejections, it was just the right time and God had made it work. So there's also this factor of if you don't give up, you believe in your work and you pray, yes, things will work out. Things will keep working out. So just to move on, we have, I see the messages keep increasing. I'm seeing 27.
That lady got into Ivy League. Let me have that.
Wow, Ivy League. Don't worry. I will chat to you because I need to know that lady.
You know, and that's more.
It's on our group now.
That's university.
We all know her. We all know her.
Plenty money.
Okay, so my transcript just got evaluated by West last month. Graduated with a 2-2 and currently don't have a GRE. Can I still apply for master's degree in chemical engineering for next year? Okay, anyone want to pick up this question in 2 minutes? Anyone want to pick up this question in 2 minutes or 1 minute? Chemical engineering 2-2, and she has done GRE. He or she has done GRE. He has done GRE. Sorry, not GRE. West evaluation. He currently graduated with 2-2 and does not have GRE. Can he still apply for a master's degree in engineering, chemical engineering? Who wants to pick that? Ahmed.
I think the first thing the person wants to consider is what are the requirements of the school, because there have been a lot of proper publication against GRE, like they published in journals that it is just a number but does not define the ability of students. While there are some schools that are against it, so it depends on the school. So this is based on the school you want to apply to. Check their requirements. If they require GRE, just know that if you don't have a GRE, they will not admit you. If it is optional, right? If it is optional and you have a 2-2, know that some people, even when they say don't submit GRE, I've applied to schools that said we will not consider GRE. Some people will still submit the GRE. That is how crazy it is. So if you see a school that is saying that you need a GRE, there's no point in applying. If it is free of charge, you can apply. Like my advisor in Nigeria used to say that when you apply to something you are not qualified for, you have 1% of getting it. 1% chance of getting it. When you don't apply at all, you have 0% of getting it, right? But there's no point in prioritizing those, right? So if the school, but there are schools that will tell you we do not consider GRE. Just know that that alone has set you aside. But with your tutor, you want to do several other things that they want to consider like research experience. If you don't have it, then it might work against you. So you have the time, chemical engineering, identify where you are interested in, whether environmental engineering or whatever in chemical engineering. Go to industry, sacrifice. That's why I say we talk about rejection, sacrifice. Travel, Basi travel to Jos, from Naima to Jos, right? Just to gather research experiences. So sacrifice, gather the research experience. You have words already. If you can write GRE, please write GRE. But if you can't, then that should not still stop you, because GRE is very expensive now. But if you can't, that should not still like be a bottleneck for you. You can still try your best. I don't like to use the word luck because I'm very annoyed with luck. Luck has never worked for me in the past because I'm not getting it, right? So just try your best and do your best. And one thing that I think we have not mentioned is the application fee part. If you are going to talk about that, we can just move it forward.
Yes.
Because there's a strategy that people need to consider when applying to school with application fees.
Okay, I think for that, thank you for raising that up. I think I'll go to Oludare while I try to see which questions we will take from the chat box. Oludare, if you're still on the call, can you speak on application fee waivers, how one can get application fee waivers? And for those who want to pay, when do they know that they should pay? Like, when do they have the opportunity to know the right time to pay for an application fee? Other speakers can also join in.
Yeah, thank you. It depends.
Though now generally, you will always see advertisements for application waiver around, right? So, but it depends on the strategy you are following. You're following the informal to formal strategy. That is, you try to reach out to your PI first before you apply. If your PI is asking you to apply, then you know you're already good. Because if he's asking you to apply, you know you're already good. You just try to put it to apply as much as possible. If it requires you having to pay a token and all that, I had to pay for my application. I know. But in the case of application waivers, a lot of schools have application fee waivers. Some advertise it, some do not, right? Now, the schools that advertise application fee waiver, most of them do it to get a particular population quota that, oh, they can say we have
Yeah.
we have this number of people applying to our school and we have this percentage acceptance rate, right? So they kind of do it for that reason. But there are still some other schools that kind of give application waiver, but it's not as open as you will always see schools. They will tell you, this application fee waiver period, this whole 1 week, if you should apply and you are good to go. You can, and I think I made advice regarding that. You want to sandwich the schools with free application fee waiver with the schools that do not have. You want to like balance them in such a way that you in such a way that you are applying to people schools that their acceptance rate are high, and then schools that their acceptance rate are not as high. Not a lot of people who have that much money to pay for application, right? But one thing you want to know is that even if you're applying directly and they don't advertise application fee waiver, write to the graduate coordinator, tell them this is what you are doing, and this is your condition. You don't know if you will be able to get in, apply to the school without having to pay the application fee. In most cases, if they have, they sometimes have some reservation for some people, and if they do, you can easily get in that light if you are doing that, right? But if it is otherwise and they don't have, my school, I had to pay for it. When I applied for Cornell University, it was my sponsor that said I should apply, that I should use something and go and do something, that there is a way that they get application fee waiver without having to. So he was one who gave me the insider information, and I applied without having to pay application fee. And some people apply to the same Cornell and they pay the application fee. So you want to, try to like reach out to grad coordinators, and you might be able to, circumvent that, or apply to schools with free and some weeks. You have weekly application fee waiver and all that, and try to manage that with some one or two schools that you would have to pay application fee. But if you are following the umbrella system program, you necessarily might not need to. You might not be sure of what you're applying to. So let it that be more of schools that they have application fee waiver. But if it is, you have already secured your supervisor, even if you ask you to pay, if your application fee waiver is only $100, if you can get the money, at least I think it is a worthy investment because you most likely get in. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And just to cap up on the application fee waiver, yes, you can use cold emails or inquiry mails to get application fee waiver from the director of the faculty or the department as it's called, or the college, sorry, as it's called. Or you can use, like you said, some professors can guide you on how to get cold waivers. And also, there are some schools that organize sessions. If you attend their sessions, they will give you waiver. There's also some schools that say if you apply on this particular date, there's a waiver day or waiver week for them. I know there's a school that has a December, but I can't remember the name of the school. December 1st. If you apply on that December 1st, your application fee will be waived because this is very, 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 very important. Yeah, so I'm trying to see if we definitely have to end the session by 9:30. So I'm going to be just screening some of the questions we need to take over here and take it. Okay, so this is an important question. I would like you to speak more on this issue. I have tried applying to about 50 schools in the USA, and I have already reached out to 5 of them. My referees have been very supportive in helping me with recommendation letters. Last year, my application was rejected because I only had a BSc in social studies. Okay, I will ask question on that. Now, I have completed master's degree in sociology to show the progress and improvement I have made. However, when I reached out to one of the graduate coordinators, she informed me that the university is not willing to accommodate Nigerian students. Okay, this has really discouraged me, and I I'm not sure what to do next. Now I'm looking into PhD curriculum studies. Okay, so this is what I would say. What I would advise is this. How will I say it? First and foremost, I am not sure. I do not know why you said because of you have BSc. I would like to ask questions. I don't know if you're on the call to ask, how did you know you were rejected because it was only BSc? Because most times rejection letters do not state the main reason for rejection. They are just broad situations. Most at times, they are broad. Oh, you are rejected based on blah blah blah. Some schools go to the extent of saying, "Oh, this is why you are rejected," but I'm not so sure you are rejected on BSc only if unless you did not read the requirements very well, if they require a master's degree. Now, that is one case scenario. However, yes, the reality is we are having policy changes in the United States, trying to protect the country, and the country leadership is actually working on this. We on this session have no control over policy, and we are limited to take questions on policy. Trust me, even us inside there are facing policy changes due to what is going on currently, but we are limited. However, if the university say they cannot accommodate Nigerian students or foreign students, because a lot of foreign students were not able to get visas, and a lot of them are scared that when they give admissions, the admission window closes and they give admission, the person is unable to come. They cannot replace you. This is not, it's not like Nigeria. It is not easy to replace a graduate student. Oh, Ahmed did not collect. Quickly bring OBJ. It's August. Ahmed told us in August finally that they rejected his visa. Oh yeah, October, send him a bring OBJ in. No. If Ahmed has rejected like that and it has passed the window of submitting names, they cannot replace Ahmed if that visa is not there. So a lot of faculty members currently are being careful because there's a lot of things tied to you coming to the USA. And so, yes, some schools are having these limitations, but I will advise you not to be discouraged. Look for other schools. That is just one school that told you. We have over 100 schools in the United States. Look for that.
1,000 plus.
Ahmed, please.
Please, I just want to make mention of something. Just for everybody that you are here, sometimes you are strong enough, but it is your recommendation that is speaking against you. Now, I'm speaking from experience. Please, you are doing your work. Now you want to evaluate your recommenders. Some people are not so good at writing, even if they have a PhD or they are professors. There are some people that the way their professors write for them, they don't have up to what you have, but those professors are crazy writers. When they structure recommendation letter for their students, the faculty will read it because they trust those people because they are their colleague, whether they know them or not, right? So now, one way to know what your recommenders are writing, if you are scared to ask them that, can I see the recommendation letter? Just look for one school that maybe you are not ready to submit the application or you are not interested in just apply. When submitting recommendation letter, tick that you want to see the letter. Right? Don't do it for schools that you are serious about because that means you don't trust your recommenders and it can affect you in the admission process. Now, ticket, I think I've not done it before, but I had to change one of my recommenders anyways. I think that will give you what the letter looks like and you can read and see what they are writing. It may not be sufficient. One of my strongest recommender was writing something so generic and small, and that is what they are just exposed to. I had to like tell him when he sent me the letter last year. I read it out and I was like, sir, can I like write this thing like, and I wrote it and he read it and be like, oh, this is good, right? Some people will give you the blank check, not that you are lying there, but because you know what the school wants, you are writing to tailor it towards what the school wants, and they will read anything they feel is false, they will ask you to remove it or they will remove it themselves. So evaluate your recommenders. You can set that thing up, let them submit all their recommendation. If then from there you can show other people that can you read this thing, is this strong enough? If it is not, you know that next time you are applying, either you tell them that, sir, can I structure there's the way this school wants it? There's some question they'll be like, oh, I'm busy, but you can just draft it for me. Or change the person.
Yeah.
If not, you just be applying with all the first class, the publication and everything. And they're just writing he's a very good boy and he's humble and he did well in his academic exam. They want to read that this person has done this project with me. If we have publication, we publish this together. They want to see that thing, not just English. They want to see what have you done together? Who are you to this person? How long have you known this person? So please evaluate your recommenders as a strategy on application.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's very, very good. Trust me, I've one of my friend got a recommendation from a professional recommendation, and the person wrote 16 pages of recommendation.
Jesus.
Yes,
Yeah,
16 pages. The person got into chair straightforward. Submitted it for check.
16.
16 pages. So This is not someone, the person knows, the recommender is from abroad. They have been communicating online for long and they have been working for years. 16 AV pages. The guy got into the scholarship training once at test, straightforward. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because it is very important what Ahmed said on recommendation. You will just go and give recommender that will write the boy is a good boy 1 page, and even you can
Half
write it
page.
better. Now, the point is, it's not like that recommender is a bad person. You are the one that is at fault. Always send drafts. Sir, when you are asking for recommendation, oh, can I send you a draft? Then you draft and send it. It is allowed. There is nothing unethical about it. You can
Of
send a
course.
draft. Now, some
So,
of my own recommenders, professors always tell me, no, no, don't worry. We have our sample. We have our format.
mm,
Yes, some schools, I know Lagos Business School recommenders do not collect drafts. They have their own format because they have been trained. They train them for 6 months before they even start their first teaching. So those ones have been trained on how to recommend. It's different from, let me not call some school name, whereby even you, when you're in the school, you know that person cannot recommend you well. When you are in that school, you have seen what the person is writing. You understand? So please just be careful of recommendations and all that. So our time is fast spent. I think I cannot take so much question. But I saw a question I was interested in. I'm a fresh graduate of
I
cybersecurity.
think somebody is raising their hand
Oh
since.
yes, Oluwafunke. Oluwafunke, do you still want to? I know I chatted
Let
that
me
to you.
let me say something on this recommendation.
Okay, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
for the recommendation, get across to your recommenders in good time, because if your recommendation letter does not arrive in time and the application deadline passes, you will not be considered for application. Okay, I forgot to mention that I got two rejections. Yeah, the second rejection was because my recommendation letters did not get there in time. That was just the reason. You understand? They stated it that I did not complete my, application. So if you are hope, you cannot tell somebody, a professor in Nigeria or somebody, to recommend you today and expect that it happens today. Some people can do it immediately. But when you give them enough time, when there's enough time, maybe 1 month or months ahead, that okay, sir or man, you remind them, any school you apply, once you send the application, you remind the person, send the person an email with that, okay, look at this, so they have sent it. Or it gives the person ample time, to recommend you. And you should also understand that, like you mentioned about generic recommendation, they're not supposed to use a generic recommendation. They're supposed to recommend you peculiar to the school and the course you are applying for. So if you don't give them that time, they will just, okay, fine, I've written one for her. Maybe like me, and I applied some schools, like this school I applied for biology, some schools I applied for molecular biology, another school was cell and molecular biology. In the school that gave me admission in New York was biochemistry and molecular biology. Now, these are different courses. Now, imagine one person, the people recommending me using one generic this thing. So it's going to carry the name of the first course, and they will say, hey, be like you and you recommend yourself, no serious.
no, see.
So if you if you give them ample time, it will help them to prepare it, go through it, and give you something good.
And don't load your recommenders at once with 10 recommendations. They make mistakes sometimes. Give them time. Send 2 this week, send 1 next week. So it will help you. You don't have to submit application before you can get recommendation request.
Before they go and send sausage instead of recommendation.
It has happened before that they put different names of schools and they won't even tell you, but one that I've had, the person said it to the lady that I'm sorry, I made a mistake in this one. But hopefully it doesn't count against you. Some will
That,
not tell you.
that
And
is
if
a
you are
righteous
drafting,
recommender.
mention the name of the school at the beginning, not every part. They will not be changing it every time they are changing the name of schools. Your course, first paragraph, let everything appear on one side so they know if I'm going to edit, this is the only part I'm editing. They don't have time.
Yeah, so I've taken the time of my panelists so much, and I would like to bring this session to a close. But before we close, just some few announcements. Oluwafunke, I've already requested that you unmute and ask your question. Let me know when you're on mute. So just close out for some question. Can one request recommendation letter from a professor in the school you didn't attend? Well, that's a technical question. I will not say yes or no to that, but what I know is the school wants the professor to establish relationship. So it's not just about I know the professor or so one of your family member is a professor. No, the question is, have you worked with this professor? Has the professor taught you? Have you done research with it? Because the professor must speak on your skills aside just knowing, which is why most schools request for professors from your own school because they might have taught you. So a lot of schools normally ask, the first line is for you to establish relationship. How long have you known the candidate and in what nature? Mentorship, teaching, research or what. So if the professor can establish, you must establish that relationship. So I don't know if you a professor in under school, if you have worked with the person in a research, then fine. You understand? That will work. But if you have not worked with the person in a research or a professional capacity, then it might be challenging for the professor to, because the professor doesn't know you. How will they recommend you? So it's also a challenge. Someone is asking for LinkedIn. I've posted that. Okay. So we have Adewale Adewumi. Let me unmute you. To your question, please, what's your question? Oh God, we have too many questions here.
What's this?
Okay, I'm trying to unmute while I look for. Please, Solomon, repost your question again so that it comes forward, or just highlight it while I unmute. Adewale Adewumi, I've asked you to unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
So thank you very much for this great opportunity. Yeah, I was the one that sent my question earlier. So as I've said earlier, I applied. That was last year, and I was at the embassy before I was being denied. But then I was being given the partial funding. So I was being denied. So this year I plan to apply for 50 university. Currently I've applied for 5. So there is a particular time that I have to speak with my graduate coordinator, and I was like speaking to him, asking some question, and she told me categorically that based on what Trump is doing now and the likes, that he's trying not to.
Okay, I can barely hear you. Okay. Adewale, can you hear us? Okay, pending when Adewale comes back with his internet. Solomon asks, I am a fresh graduate of cybersecurity, graduated with a very strong first class, about to go for my NYC, but I need a guide to target the right professors and what the actual and right content to the email to the professors will look like. So we cannot attend to all these your questions on this call. Trust me, even if we leave the call for 3 hours, cold email, writing format, and all those stuff, you need to check online. So the point I first tell people, research. See, this question you ask, you can get all the answers online. YouTube, online, research. The first part is first, you must do research. Know the schools you are targeting, know the schools you're applying for. And in terms of how you want to write the emails, there are email samples which you can learn from, not use, please learn from them, then write your own. And also videos on YouTube that can guide you to rewrite or not. The professors you write to depends on your field of interest. Do they align with your field of interest or your field of research that you're interested in? You already have a first class, which is an edge. And the NYSC doesn't matter in US, they don't ask you whether you do NYSC or not. Nobody cares about that. Yes. So yeah, so that is it. So
NIC.
yeah. They don't even know. I'm not sure they even know what is NYSC yet.
They will even think that you belong to a rebellion force. Don't
Yes.
yeah, the embassy. I won't run you off.
Are they training you for war?
Don't even put
NYSC,
your
listen,
picture of NYC on your social
NYC.
media.
NYSC
No.
is intent. Some of us had experiences in
Perfect,
NYSC.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
But
you.
it's internship,
This thing.
not NYC.
internship.
Please, the guy asking question. If
Internship.
you are back,
Some
can
of
you
us
raise
had
your hand?
so it's just internship they call it, not and
Mm.
if you say anywhere and national service too. If you said some countries do what they call
They
national
get
service,
confused.
They
but
reduce
it's
about NYSC to
internship.
internship.
They will say paramilitary. If you
Okay,
are
so
applying for visa, just remove it from your
Just remove it to
the picture that you are wearing khaki.
okay, so let's not go. I'm trying for us not to go into host. Okay, Oluwafunke, I've asked you to unmute. Okay, I've asked you again. I'm trying not to go into policy and all those
Hi,
things
good evening.
because this
That's
is
it.
also streamed on YouTube. So I'm trying to protect everyone and
Yeah.
avoiding those types. So please,
Can
if
you
you're asking a
hear me?
sensitive question, Oluwafunke, I just want to if you're asking a sensitive question, I might
Okay.
likely mute you if it's becoming too sensitive. So be diplomatic
Oh,
here.
no, no, no.
So thank you. I hope you
No, okay. Yes. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for the session. You guys are amazing.
thank you.
So I have, I think, 3 questions. The first one is, there are different times to apply to school, like summer, fall, and spring, I think. But I noticed that people focus on fall the most. Is it that that's when like there's more scholarships or like what's special about fall? Because when you ask people or when you talk to people, they're like, I'm waiting for fall next year. I'm waiting for fall next year. Like, is there no application going on like in the spring and in the summer and like all those other periods? And then my second question is on CV. In the leadership experience part of CV, do I have to have like leadership experience and what do you call that thing? Leadership experience, sha. Do I have to have it in my field? Like, can I have it outside my field, like something else or somewhere else I've worked in, or must it be in my field? And then recommendation letter, my last question. I've only worked with my supervisor, my undergraduate supervisor. I worked with her 3 times. So like she's the only person that I know that can write my recommendation letter for me. I don't know who else I can go and meet because I've not worked with the person. Like I don't know if they are going to want to write something about me. Though I have relationship with other lecturers though and some other people, but I've not worked with them. I don't know if they are going to write a recommendation letter for me because only one person I know, and that is my undergraduate supervisor. I worked with her even after I graduated. I worked with her. So these are my 3 questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just take some. Then Oludare show. I've not heard his voice for a while, so he has been answering that box. Then Oludare will come in to answer. So the first question on fall, it depends on the school calendar. A lot of school calendar starts from fall. So there are some people who get scholarship in spring also. I know of spring, but I don't know of summer. Summer is like a crash program most times.
I came in summer.
Okay, you came in summer.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, that's shocking then. Thank God. That's why you see the spirit led me to tag you. So I will leave that first question for you. The second question I think is on the third question is on recommendation, right? Second question is on what? I did not write it down. So on the recommendation part, let me take the recommendation. Work with is not the only requirement. All lecturers in your department can recommend you because they have taught you. Lecturers can recommend you because they have taught you. They don't need to have done research with them. You understand? For my master study where I collected a lot of recommendation, 95% of lecturers wrote recommendation letter for me because they have taught me. I think only like 2 or 3 did not write because they were busy and some had high requirements. You understand? So anybody that has taught you can recommend you, especially in the academic field. So they don't need to like work with you. Like which research do they want to do with you in 100 level? Your 100 level faculty can teach, write recommendation letter. And even people you have worked with outside the school, whether through volunteering or through internship or through work experience, those are professional recommenders. They can also recommend you. So I think I'll just end on that. On your leadership experience, my CV is more of leadership than more of academic because I came in from a professional line. Your leadership experience can come from diverse field. But however, be careful not to confuse the evaluation committee. So let me give an example. You are applying for education. Your leadership experience is you are doing NSAS. You are the leader of NSAS. You led all the protests in Nigeria. You are the one, and that's the leadership experience. Your committee is confused. An advocate or an educationist. That kind of thing.
So which one be leader of NCA?
No, you get no, just to give an example, like all your experience is protest. You are organizing protest.
Which
You are
one be
confusing
instant leader again?
you are sending the wrong signal. You're sending the wrong signal. So sometimes your leadership experience can come from outside the field, but it must show leadership skills and not something that confuses the review committee. So I have worked in education, civic engagement, climate change, but when I'm applying for education, I remove anything that will confuse the organization or the committee that is reviewing the jury because I don't want them to see me as someone who is jack of all trades. I want them to see me as a perfect fit for that course. And so you must be careful of that leadership experience. And also, leadership experience must also show your skills directly. It's not just okay to say you have volunteered in a religious place or in an organization. What did you learn there? What is the skill you used in that leadership experience matters. So I'll just leave the rest for Oludare to continue.
Oh, I think you already answered all the questions, right?
No,
I think
I needed to put into that summer on because I'm not used to that summer resumption. So I think that is very important for you to put in.
Okay, yeah, I think it depends on the program, and just like you rightly said, a good number of all the programs that we have around there are around fall. and then I think the next popular session is spring, or semester is spring, right? But in my own case, I applied for I after I spoke with my supervisor and everything worked out, I applied. I got my I think I submitted an application in January. We had a meeting about October last year. He was currently applying for the grant, and then after I got the grant, I submitted an application in January, and then he said, so I didn't ask him. I applied for 4. And then after like 3 weeks, he reached out to me that, have I heard from the graduate school? I said no. And then he said I should message them and see. Oh, he said he would message them and see. And then they told me they told him I applied for 4. So he asked me to message them again and tell them I want summer. I messaged them and tell them I want summer. After a week, I got my admission to summer. So it depends on when they want you to come over. Do you get it? But fall is like the most popular window where you make your application. And I think this is very much quite to being very close to being exclusive to research assistantships. Right? If you are applying for a research assistant position, if they want you to come at this particular time for the research you want to work on, they would need you to they would need you to come around that time. So it could be summer, because most of the research that we did here, I came in directly to research. And that reminds me of what I think Mr. Ahmed was saying earlier about area enjoying. I don't want to hear that, especially, but that's just by the way, right? So yeah, but all windows are open, and it just depends on the particular program you're applying to. Yeah, the research experience from a STEM perspective, you don't say, just like Mr. Basso just said, you don't say you did something in your SOP or CV without telling us the relevance of that thing to what you're applying to. And it is not just about leadership experience, it's about everything you are putting out in your CV or SOP. If you said, if you are let me say a microbiologist, and you said you worked as a laboratory technician in a lab, you have to tell us how that is relevant, and the experience that you gain, the skills that you gain, how they are relevant to the position you're applying to. They will not make assumption for you. And that is what makes your application closely knitted. You really need to communicate the impact and the skills you've gained from those things. Yeah, let me not waste our time too much.
Okay, so thank you so much. So I would just like us to end here. Just some information. We'll be sending you a follow-up email between today and Monday for everyone who attended the session and registered for the recording. You have the recording in it. You have the link to the non-STEM sessions. So the non-STEM session, please invite your friends, because a lot of science sessions are holding. So we want the non-STEM people like myself to also have opportunity to learn from scholars. And also, we will also be finalizing on the group and the community. We feel we should keep up this conversation. So both the participants, yeah, definitely. So both the participants and the panelists have already agreed that we should have a community. So we are going to build a community around that, where we are going to be sharing experiences from everyone, and everybody will be there to learn and share questions and answer. Also follow everyone on social media. We have a lot of social media link. Please follow up. I do post on social media tips and my experiences in grad school. You could learn from it and get to see a lot of stuff around that. So closing remarks from everybody. We are going to be starting with Ahmed in 1 minute closing remark. Then I'll give the last closing remark and we'll end in 1 minute. Thank you. Ahmed, then we'll go to Basit, then we'll go to Obioma, then we'll go to Oludari.
Senator, Senator.
I think he's en route. Okay.
Yes, I think
Unmute him.
Okay, I should unmute him. Okay. I think Bashit, you can continue while I just prep up with Ahmed.
Okay. For me, I think this has been really, really enlightening, and I'm sure that the participant must have learned 1 or 2 things. Lastly, I would just like to say that this is just like a group of people coming together to share their experience. But of course, you can go online, go to Reddit, go to Twitter. You see people that the guy that said he has HND and Tutu. There are several other people who also have this same grades or the same peculiarities with you, and then they're here already in the US or even other countries on a scholarship. So you'd find lots of people who are in like the same shoes as you. So just go out there, go to Reddit, go to Twitter, LinkedIn, search for people that are conversant with this same discourse. You would see a lot of information from them, and then you can be able to apply it to your own situation. So I wish you guys all the best. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys here in the US. So yeah.
Thank you, Basit. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving us your time today. I really, really appreciate. Ahmed?
Okay, thank you so much for this session. Thank you, Pastor Joe, for organizing this wonderful session. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Just to tell you that don't give up, keep trying. Sometimes it's not about you. You are strong, you are qualified, they want you here, but it's just timing. Just keep it up, keep improving, and you will get things for sure. So don't give up. As the popular saying goes, now who give up, fuck up. So please don't fuck up and don't give up. And I pray that Almighty God that we all serve will crown our efforts.
Amen. Thank you so much. Obioma.
Okay. What I would say is you have to now. What I'm going to say may be different, but it's just the truth. You may be uncomfortable with it, but it's just going to help you diversify your options. Don't just depend on the US alone. There are a lot of restrictions regarding student visa, international students, and all of that in the United States. We are all here to. If you ask us what brought us all of us together, aside the person that came before, I'm sure is AP, no AP, and all of those things. I know you may not know what I mean by AP. So what I'm saying is diversify your options. You can look at the schools in the UK, you can check Germany, you can check schools in some parts of Europe with tuition. Some of them are tuition free. You understand? Don't just say it must be the US. I know Sweden has a scholarship for national. All of many, in fact, almost all countries do it. All you need to do is to do your research. I'm not saying you cannot come into the US. If I can come to the US, you and every other person can actually come to the US. But from the time I came till now, a lot of things has changed. Do you understand? And then if you go to another country, let's say UK, Germany, or another country, it's easier. See, once you don't cross that border, they don't stamp your passport with the country's visa, whether US or any other country. You have that visa stamp. You've left Nigeria. If you are, let's say you are in some part of Europe and you're applying for Europe, believe you me, it's easier to get admission, easier to come into the United States than someone in Nigeria. Once your passport don't get stamped for another country, it gives you an edge. So I will advise you as you're applying to the US, try to diversify your options to other countries. Even if your intended destination is US, you can come from UK, you can come. I know people who from UK, Obasanjo came from another country, so don't just, focus on the US, diversify your options. And I pray that God will crown your efforts with success. Bye.
Man, okay, I think we can take Oludare.
Yeah, I think the pleasure of being able to share some little things that we added you with, it wasn't this rosy while we were facing it, and everybody could come together and, just share their own little ideas. So basically, I think one thing we would all need to notice is that the only limitation that you have is the one in your mind, and you should try as much as possible not to adopt. We all have different stories, and you most likely have different story by the time you'll be securing your own funded opportunities, right? Not even what you studied in your undergrad can stop you. I know a lot of people who did something entirely different from, not entirely, right? At least within the sciences, within the humanities, within non-STEM and all that. They are doing different things, masters and PhD from what they did in undergrad. There are a lot of unique unique personalities, unique portfolios and all that, unique cases when it comes to application. So I think yours is just to really keep making your research and improving while you make your application. If you miss out on one application, make sure you at least learn something that would help improve the next application you're applying to. And I believe, with God, it is sure that now give up, fuck up, really, just like Mr. Med said. Yeah, so that's it for my end.
Okay, thank you so much. So just to put, I've created the community so that I will not forget, and I've posted a link. Trust me, from now the community today won't be active because the panelists will still be trying to join in and everything. So this community, I've posted it's called the VSF Voices from Africa. We can do other rebranding as the time goes on, trust me. I was not planning on community, but we just wanted to host this session. And someone asked, when next are we having this again? So the next session is a non-STEM session for next Saturday, November 22nd, to talk about, we have 4 to 5 panelists also coming up to share their experiences of their how they applied and how they got here from the non-STEM focus field, which is education, social sciences, arts, legals, and all those field business. They will be coming to share their session. Then, just like the panelists I mentioned, Mr. Ahmed has mentioned that we need to have a session to motivate people who have gotten a lot of rejections and are in the verge of giving up. So we'll be having that maybe in December, depending on our time. I know in December a lot of schools are going on break. Yeah. Okay, so we could have that in December. So those are the 2 sessions planned right now. Aside that, all others will just be holding on the group. All others will be holding on the WhatsApp group. So yeah, sure. Okay, sorry. I'm looking at 2 screen. So I will be ensuring everyone, please request to join the group, enter the group, join the group. I will also be sending emails for those who have stepped out of the session to join the group. And this is very, very important because we have a lot of panelists. Trust me, if it's only me, I might not open that WhatsApp group. But we have a lot of panelists who will support, because WhatsApp group can be overwhelming for me. It can be very, very overwhelming for me, you get. And so we will do that. But in general, please do not give up. Trust me, your time will come. And just like it is popularly said, the time when your time is here, no one can stop you. When your time is here, no one can stop you. But do not take it for granted and give up and say, oh, everybody. And please, a lot of time, my own last advice is just keep developing yourself. I ask myself every year, how can I be better? The competition is against yourself, not against others that are applying. If you become better every month, every year, trust me, no one can stop you from getting a fully funded scholarship and breaking out of the limitations we have faced in our various countries, because we know the limitations we have faced, and we are all here to make life better, to be better people, and also to make our families more better and open opportunities for generations that are yet unborn. And this is very, very important. When you have that behind your mind, at the back of your mind, you get to understand how it is not to give up, and you get to know that what you are doing right now, for all the speakers that have spoken who are already in the US, I tell people most time it is not for us. If I look at myself, I will be staying in Nigeria because I'm flexing, I have a good job, or in Morocco and find a better job. But for the future unborn, that's why we keep up the struggle. We try to make sure that what we did not enjoy, our unborn children and generations to come can benefit from it. And that is my own motivating factor. And I think if you can have that word also in back behind your mind, you will not give up easily, because you know what you went through growing up and you know how it is. So I try not to be a motivational speaker. Yeah. I think someone is speaking, but I don't know. Is it Ahmed? Okay. So thank you, everyone. I remain my humble self, Obasanjo Fajem Roku, and it is so interesting and so nice to have every one of you here. We are so honored to have you here. Thank you to all the panelists, Obioma, Ahmed, Abdulbashir, Oludare, and Chika in absentia. Next week, we'll be having my bosses coming here for non-STEM session. Non-STEM session is holding next week. Please invite friends, family, even your enemy. Invite your enemy, all of them, invite them for next non-STEM session. We are really expecting you. So thank you so much, and have a lovely night rest in Nigeria. And for my scholars, please take care of yourself and rest well. I know our weekend is no more for rest, but rest well and finish all the assignments you have. Take care, everyone. Bye, everyone.
11:59 going. Bye, guys.